Hello, everybody. Welcome to 1v1. I am your host this episode, Eddie B, the enlightening and exciting one. Joining me, if you guys have seen our Pride panel, you already know who this one is. Like I said before, he is the Deep Space Nine hunter of monsters in this world. Of course, the one and only LeRon D.
Hey there. Thanks for having me back, everybody. Exodus 803 here. You can check me out at twitch.tv/EXODUS803. I do have a YouTube channel, but it's under construction, so I won't give out the handles for that just yet. But a lot of people, all you gotta do, if you check me out at Exodus 803 on Twitter, you will eventually come across my YouTube channel.
Yes, we had a discussion about your Mass Effect play, and I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. I'm being so slow on it though. Like I have a fourth episode that I'm in the process of editing and doing right now for it. But basically just for anyone that did not catch me on the Pride podcast, basically what I did, because I've crossed the dark side. I'm a PC gamer now. I was a long storied console gamer, and one of my last good experiences on console games was the Mass Effect trilogy. I was one of those guys. I didn't play it when it came out one by one on Xbox 360.
Same here.
I played the trilogy when they released it on PS3.
Same here. Dude, it took me a day and a half to download everything.
Yes, yeah. I didn't pay for all the DLC, not until I got the PC version. But I did get the important DLCs for Mass Effect. So you got luckily for us, if you bought the trilogy, whether it was the Xbox version or the PS3 version, you for the first game you got all the exclusive DLC, so the additional mission stuff for the first Mass Effect. For the second Mass Effect though, you had to buy the Lair of the Shadow Broker, and you had to buy the Arrival. And I tell a lot of people, if you can't figure out what to spend the money on the Arrival DLC, because that's the primer for between Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Yes.
And then for Mass Effect 3, if you have to pay for any of the 5 DLCs that come out for that one, definitely get From Ashes, because From Ashes gets you an additional character. It gets you Javik, the lost Prothean. And if you have to spend money on any other one, before you spend money on Omega, I would say spend money on the Citadel DLC, because the Citadel DLC, that was basically BioWare's love letter to all the fans. You wound up getting an entire, I want to say it was like another good 5-6 hours of gameplay. Basically, shenanigans ensue. There's a clone of Shepard, and it's just crazy. And by the way, having the Citadel DLC, you get to have sex twice in the entire Mass Effect 3 game. Yes. you get your one obligated one from just playing the game, but you get a bonus one for playing through the Citadel.
Yes.
All right. But anyway, so right now my labor of love project right now is I'm doing a complete replay of the Mass Effect trilogy plus Andromeda, and what I'm doing is the original Mass Effect game came out in 2007. And I knew I wanted to play Mass Effect again, but then I discovered the world of modding and found out that some people have put some blood, sweat, and tears into like remastering Mass Effect on their own before we started getting any of these swirlings around of possible remasters from EA and BioWare right now. So right now on my YouTube channel, I'm actually playing, recording and uploading a complete remaster of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, complete in 4K with advanced textures. I've even got mods that are actually putting some of the dialogue that was cut out and left on the cutting room floor back into the game. There's a couple of flip side options now. Like for example, no matter what game you're playing, you can romance any gender.
Yes.
And there's some other things. There's also some quality of life things. For example, like no more lingering in an elevator for 4 minutes.
Oh.
And And I did install a mod that's supposed to make the Mako a little more tolerable, and it is 10% more tolerable than it was in the original run. So take that for what it is. But yeah, I've got a video right now that I just uploaded my third video right before the 4th of July weekend. And please check out my channel. Just go to my Twitter. Just go to my Twitter. Just put in my handle on Twitter. You'll find the details to my YouTube channel, because I pretty much I try to hype it up whenever I can. And then you will get to the channel, and please subscribe, leave me comments, let me know things, because this is my first I'm a baby streamer right now. Like I've had a Twitch channel. I've had a Twitch channel for about 4 months. I've had my YouTube channel going for about 2. And I'm still learning the ropes about everything, but I'm having a blast doing it. And I promise you I will continue to upload stuff. I play Monster Hunter all the time.
Yes.
And I go back and forth between streaming on Twitch for Monster Hunter and YouTube for Monster Hunter. But my Mass Effect stuff is exclusively on YouTube right now. And I'm also planning on uploading, because I play this mobile game called Tekken. I'm also going to start uploading some of my matches from there. Oh, and speaking of Tekken, another game that rhymes with Tekken called Tekken, I play that as well too. So you're going to start seeing more content from me in the days to come.
I have got to see you play Tekken. I can't play Tekken. This is a weird thing. I can't play Tekken, but I love watching people play Tekken. I love Soul Calibur 2 is still my fave. Mm-hmm. Like GameCube.
Wait,
Soul
two?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Don't read into what I'm saying. No, there's no shade here, because I'm trying to figure out, like, I do like Soul Calibur 2. Soul Calibur 3 was not fun for me, because that was when arcade fighting games was transitioning just completely to console. Yeah. And so Soul Calibur 3, in my opinion, was one of those games that came out broken, because they didn't really have time to test it and patch it. Like the arcade game cycle is where games get tested and proven before they come home, and basically when the home version comes out, that's the final complete version of the game that they want. So like the balance patches are all there and stuff like that. In this day and age now, though, like we get balance patches live now, but back then, if your game came out and your guy had like a combo juggler that came out in 4 frames, that was life. Everybody might be playing with that character, because he's probably the most OP character in the game at that point.
Yeah. Goodness. Because Soul Calibur 2 on GameCube with Link, that was my guy. And I played Soul Edge on PS1. And then I played Soul Calibur on Dreamcast.
Oh yes.
I wasn't good at Retro Fighter, but I still played. Like a lot of the 3D fighters, I wasn't good at. But you give me a 2D fighter, loved it. Bloody War is still one of my favorite 3D fighters.
That was a 2.5D game. Bloody Roar. Games like Bloody Roar, Ballerina Toshinden. Those games that really like messed around with the arena and how everything circled, like those games were a blast.
Hello everybody, we are back. Sorry about the break. But yeah, I was talking about Soul Calibur, and then I brought up Bloody War, as you said, 2.5. I love Bloody War. That's such a great game.
Bloody War was a fun game. I used to play it wasn't a hedgehog. It was like I think it was a badger or something like that. Yeah, that character. I used to love that character, because he had that throw that was basically he jumps on your shoulders, like flips over you and just slams you into the ground.
Yes. And I know there's a history of Bloody War on YouTube, so guys, do check that out. But I want to kind of ask you, LeRon, how did you get into content creation? Or let's even jump back. How did you get into video games? Like, what made you start playing video games?
I grew up in the 80s, and arcades were the thing back then. And then, basically, my parents got sick of me asking to always be taken to an arcade all the time, so they bought me an Atari 2600.
My mom had one too.
Yeah, and that basically was the start of it, and then the Atari, like my parents had to have felt bad for me because they got me Atari 2600, and like a year later the video game crash happened, and you could not find a video game anywhere. You couldn't find one. My parents felt bad for me, so I didn't actually have a legit video game system from the time the crash happened until the NES era started.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mom and my dad, they had the 2600. They end up getting the 7200.
Oh man!
Um
You were living life, man. Arcade perfect games on that system. Oh
yeah.
man!
And my neighbors, they had the Commodore 64.
Which was basically a glorified PC.
Pretty much, yes. And I didn't get my first console to the NES.
Okay, yeah. Let me. You know what though? I got to be. I'm mad at you right now though. You had the perfect version of Popeye and Miss Pac-Man. I'm so mad at you.
Well, you're going to be a little bit mad because my brother had the Sega Master System. So
I had Sega Master System too. We had the arcade perfect version of Ghouls and Ghosts. Wait, no,
see,
Master System. I'm thinking Sega Genesis. Master System was
Double Dragon.
yes. Okay, thank you. I did not have a Master System, so yeah. Okay, so yeah, you and your family can go jump up a very long bridge.
Wow. But yeah. But continue. Like, how was gaming in your time? Because you said you were in Germany at that time.
Okay,
Uh,
so we had the Atari 2600, and this was maybe like a couple of years before my dad got because I'm from a military family. My dad was in the army. So I want to say the 2600 was maybe like a year or two before my dad got orders to Germany. But like I said, the video game crash happened. We went to Germany in 80. Went to Germany in 84. So the video game crash happened. I want to say if it didn't happen in 80. Maybe the video game crash happened in 84 because it was hard to find video games. So my parents were like, we don't feel like we needed to take this video game system with us. So I didn't have an Atari or a video game. I didn't have a video game system at all until the Game Boy came out for Nintendo.
ooh, that was like 89, 90.
Because you got to remember the Famicom was already out in Japan, but the NES was not out in the States yet. But between us getting the NES and the Famicom, already being out, we got the first Game Boy. If I'm not mistaken, I'm for some strange reason, maybe I have it wrong because I remember having the Game Boy before I had an NES. So I probably had a Game Boy, and then for Christmas that year they got me the full blown NES. I think that's how it happened. I think it's how it happened because I didn't get a video game. I didn't get a video game, an actual console again until we got back to the States. And I just happened to be over at some buddies' houses, and they're playing freaking Super Mario and Ghosts and Goblins, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? And I went and badgered the living hell out of my parents until Santa put one under the tree that year.
Oh, yeah, because I had the NES in around 89 or 90 because I had moved in that time. I ended up getting the Game Boy for Christmas that year, and Tetris was like my first game. And then the second game that I had, or Christmas gift that I had along with it, was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Wait, Game Boy?
Yes,
not NES, because the NES Ninja Turtles was brutal.
I had that one already, and the furthest I got to that was the Technodrome.
I never beat that game.
Me neither.
Yeah,
that was the Dark Souls game, and everybody.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because they also had the one. It was the like kind of aqua blue, and you used to go to room.
Yeah.
It wasn't Xenomorphs. It wasn't that one. It wasn't the arcade space one. But you was like a knight and stuff. And you would have to go to different rooms. And there was like a black ball that you had to fight. I gotta look up the game, but it was on NES.
That was escaping me. Because I don't know why you're talking about a knight going room to room. I'm thinking Dragon Dragon. Was it Dragon? What was Dragon Warrior? Was what it was called before it became Dragon
Quest.
Yeah, I don't think it was that one though, right?
No, it wasn't that one.
Okay.
There was a Dragon Ball game, but it was named something else on the
Oh
NES.
yeah, I remember that.
I remember that one.
Yeah. So then after keep going.
Oh no. Of course, if you had Turtles, of course you had Castlevania, you had Contra, you had Ninja Gaiden.
Let me roll down a list of NES games that I know I owned. Of course, Star Wars Mario. So I had all 3 Mario games.
Same.
I had Ghosts and Goblins, but I hated that game. So I found a friend that traded me because that was the thing about it. Like, I wanted Ghosts and Goblins when I found out it was on NES, but I was not ready for the NES version of Ghosts and Goblins because when we were in Germany, like one of the most popular arcades at the time was Ghosts and Goblins. So just imagine playing the arcade version of Ghosts and Goblins and then getting the NES one.
Which was reverse for me because I thought Ghosts and Goblin was an NES game. It
that became an arcade. Yeah. So like I somehow found a friend that he wanted Ghosts and Goblins, and out of all the games that he had that I even was maybe thought about wanting to play, he had Mega Man 2. And somehow this guy actually traded me Mega Man 2 for Ghosts and Goblins. I think I win.
Oh yes, you definitely.
I think I win.
You definitely win. It was weird. It was weird because like Mega Man 2, I got that for Christmas, and when I got to that dragon level, when you had to hop everywhere, if you were not skilled enough, if you
didn't know the timing, because you had to jump onto the block, pause for a second because the screen was automatically scrolling at that point, and then you had to time your jump again. If you didn't time your jump right, if you even like bumped into the dragon, it was an instant kill until it was time to fight it.
I spent 3 whole days trying to beat Mega Man 3.
Mega Man 2? Oh
yes.
For some strange reason, Mega Man 2 games. I guess I played Mega Man 2 games the same way I played Metroid game. Played Metroid. Because as a matter of fact, Metroid was another game that was in my library for NES. And that was a game that I had until like the freaking wheels fell off of my Nintendo. As a matter of fact, I can tell you right now, when my Nintendo officially retired, I still had 4 games: Metroid, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, and Super Mario 3. Those are the last games I had when my Nintendo finally died. But yeah, so what other games did I have? I had Rygar. Remember that one?
Beat Rygar, yep.
Rygar. I did have Ninja Turtles at one point, but yeah, that game didn't stay in my library long. Metal Gear. I had Metal Gear, and I had Snake's Revenge.
Okay. I played Metal Gear and I played Snake's Revenge and never beat those games. Didn't understand what the world to do in them. Just had no clue.
You know what? That was the problem with NES games that came over to the States. They did a horrible job of translating them, so like the instruction booklets didn't make sense and didn't give you any idea to figure out what to do with them. So you had to get a Nintendo Power magazine to even have a chance, and you had to pray that while you had a subscription to Nintendo Power that they covered your game.
Yes.
Because while Nintendo Power covered Mega Man 2, they did not cover Mega Man 3, and no. And anyone that played Mega Man 3, they were in for the shock of their lives when they beat the 8 robot bosses, and then they had to fight the 8 bosses from the original, from Mega Man 2 all over again. And they had to go back through 4 different stages.
Yes, which is a crazy thing because Mega Man 3, I think, was the only game, before they started doing the new Mega Man, that Mega Man 3 was a split in the bosses. Because 4 of the bosses... Oh no! 5 of the bosses went together. 3 of the bosses went together, and none of the 5 went to any of the 3. And I did not. I really did not realize that because I started off with Top Man, but then I switched it over to Magnet Man.
Wait. you did Magnet Man stage first?
I did Magnet Man stage first.
That's crazy. I know a lot of people that either I went Snake Man then Top Man. I know a lot of people that usually went Top Man and then went to Shadow Man, but I've never heard anyone doing Magnet Man first. That stage is because don't you need like the Rush Jet to get through certain parts of that stage?
No, that's in Mega Man 2.
Okay.
Mega Man 3, you can make those jumps with the blocks.
Okay. You know what? Okay, so Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3. Who had the best soundtrack? Which one? Which one had the best soundtrack? Go.
Mega Man 2.
Okay. I'll give it to you. Yep. Mega Man 2, in my opinion, Mega Man 2 inches out Mega Man 3 by a fraction. And I feel like it resonates with me better is because I spent the most time on Mega Man 2. Like, okay, if I wanted a quick adventure, I played Mega Man 2. If I want a full on ride, I played Mega Man 3.
See, if I wanted a long adventure, I played 2. If I want a short adventure, I played 3 because I beat 3 within an hour and a half on Christmas Day right after I got it.
Are you kidding me?
No kidding.
Are you kidding me?
No kidding. I didn't know I did not as a kid.
You did not know the boss order?
Nope.
Who knows the boss order when they first get it though? Like when I played Mega Man 2 for the first time, I think I accidentally went to Crash Man stage first. That was bad. That was a mistake.
I went to Metal Man because of going to Cut Man of Mega Man 1.
You poor devil.
Why? And it's
because Metal Man stage had a whole bunch of the stage itself wasn't hard, but the stage had a bunch of setups. Like you had an extra E-can somewhere that you needed option 1 or 2 or 3 to get, and you also had a 1-up that you had to jump to the other side, throw option 2 out, which was the prototype Rush Jet. Yeah. And then ride over there and hope you had enough energy to ride back to the other side, or you just wasted that extra man you just got.
But the thing about it is, Metal Man's saw blades was the powerful weapon in the whole game.
It was the most powerful. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think when they put a tier list together for the weapons, Metal Man was the most powerful one because it was the most versatile one. It had eight-way directional shooting. And I think second place to that was Crash Man, the bombs.
Yes.
The only con to that was like you only shoot the thing 5 times.
Yeah, because I went from Metal Man to Wood Man.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yes, but it was taking off energy, so I was just making sure that I jump over the leads. You're supposed to actually start with Airman.
Exactly.
Did not know that.
I didn't know that in my first playthrough, but ultimately I wound up it was Airman, Crash Man. Airman, Crash Man. I don't know why I did Crash Man second, because technically, Airman's weapon owns him, but you don't really need to go. You don't honestly. You can go to Crash Man like next to last, because the last stage you want to go to is Quick Man.
Yeah, because you need Flashman.
You need Flashman unless you're a G and can get through the laser beam areas. You needed Flashman's weapon.
Jeremy Parrish from Retronauts could.
I believe it.
I'm like, you got to be, because I will always be like, nope, not today, Satan. Freeze.
Let's see. Legend of Zelda was another one. Like, man, I love Legend of Zelda.
I did. I had the second one. I do not like.
I didn't like the second one. That's another. That's one of those ones they changed too quickly. It's like oh, you love the first one? Here, play the second one. Like a whole new control scheme. I was like, you can actually get lost in the woods now. Like what was that all about?
Right. You speaking to go? You cursed? And I'm supposed to wait, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah. Metroid, of course. Metroid was one of those games that that was a game I discovered. I don't honestly know how I discovered it. But when I got it for the first time and I played it, I was like, man, this is my freaking game here. there was something about it, and I mean, yeah, like I was one of those people that I had to go find a Nintendo Power magazine to see everything about this game because, man, like, you know, there's only 3 bosses in the game: the Kraid, Ridley, and Mother Brain. But I
Yeah.
swear to you, like Kraid, the little freaking hedgehog thing would destroy you in like 5 hits if you didn't know what you were doing.
Wow.
If you didn't know what you were doing. Of course, like the little, like some of the areas like in Craig's Lair, for example, if you fell down that one shaft,
Mm-hmm.
and the only way you could get back up if you didn't have the freeze beam was you had to use the bomb trick to scale the walls. Oh man, me and Metroid had a history, but Metroid is one of my favorite NES sci-fi games to this day.
Can I tell you that people are still shocked, and you may be shocked about this? 2010 Metroid Other M was my game of the year.
I can see it. Like a lot of people, Metroid Other M polarized a lot of people. Like it polarized the fan base, and this is after being polarized from Metroid Prime.
Well, people love Metroid Prime. They love the Prime series, but then when they got Metroid Other M, they didn't expect what that came out to be. And I understand that it has some plot problems, but I'm just like, you got to realize the reason why I love this game. And the reason why I love it is because this is a new level of Team Ninja doing action.
Yeah.
If you played the 3 modern Ninja Gaiden games, go look at that crazy mess that they did with not only with the difficulty, but with the cameras and with the fighting and stuff. Like, Team Ninja simplified their fighting in their style in that game, and it was just like, this makes them work with Nintendo to make Other M. Yeah, there were some plot points and some stuff, but when you get down to the gameplay, yeah, it's pretty good.
It had solid gameplay. I will say that. Like, yeah, like some of the shortcomings with the I think the biggest shortcoming with the story of Other M was the fact that it looked like they didn't know how to write for Samus.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that a game like Super Metroid did a better job of writing out that character than the games that came out in the future after Super Metroid. You know, I think the only other game that fleshes her out better is Metroid Fusion. Like, Metroid Fusion is dialogue heavy. The Game Boy Advance one, that was a sequel to Super Metroid. I think that was dialogue. It's dialogue heavy, but you actually learn a lot about Samus in that game.
Metroid Fusion, as difficult as it is, that was a horror game. That was Aliens done,
yes,
Nintendo style.
I saw a retrospective on that, and they said for a game that had ran on so many limitations, because let's think about this. The Game Boy Advance was some limited hardware, but they squeezed every ounce of action they could get in that little tiny cartridge, and it was a nail biter, because I mean, come on, man, SAX had all your powers. It could see you through the walls. It's like, oh, I see you. Oh, super bomb, and blow the walls up, and boom, you're out there.
Yeah, I was just like, she would come in,
2 shots and you were dead. It did not matter how many upgrades you had. 2 shots and you were dead, because she was hitting you with that wave beam.
I was just like, what is this thing? But then finally at the end, and it was just like, yeah, Fusion was kind of like the end of it. Other M takes place before Fusion.
Yeah.
But I think, like, one of the games is all that I think Metroid Zero Mission really fleshed out Samus. You know, and definitely after you beat the game and you played like that new portion of the game, was just like, oh wow, like I did that I did not know.
The Chozodia map, actually that was great, because here's see, I also looked at a retrospective on just the Metroid franchise throughout Nintendo's history, and when the original Metroid game came out, like, even though like the instruction manual actually had like 4 or 5 pages of like actual backstory for the Metroid game, and it talked about Samus, how she's a bounty hunter that has alien powers and stuff like that. So Here we go. Like 20 years later, Zero Mission comes out, and they actually show the origins of how she got her powers in that final mission, and it's just mind blowing. A lot of people didn't realize that that's what was going on. They actually, because I think when you start the game and when you hear her ship landing and I think it says something like, "This is my story." I think she's like, it's like either this is my story or this is the beginning of it all.
Yes.
And you play the game and you see the history and all that stuff, and it's like, oh man, like this is like a homecoming. And I just feel like we got slighted because like we got Metroid Fusion, which basically finished off the storyline that where Super Metroid ended.
Yes.
But we never got a remake of Super Metroid, and it just makes me so sad.
I said, which it may happen, and I was just like, if they make Super Metroid, if they remake it, that's fine. I kind of feel like that game has been done.
I feel like it's coming though. Because the 3DS Samus Returns was phenomenal.
Yes.
Was phenomenal. Like
like if they're going to do Super Metroid, I'm not even worried about the gameplay and the layout. I'm worried about how this game looks. It has to be detailed.
Would you like it in the style of Zero Mission and Fusion, or would you like it in the style of Samus Returns?
I kind of would.
It's a good question, isn't it?
It's a good question. I don't want it in sprite, and I don't want it in 3D.
Oh wow. So you want it more like Prime?
I kind of want it more maybe like Grease or Streets of Rage 4, like something hand drawn animated.
Okay. So
because I think that I think with Super Metroid, it needs this Comic Sans look to it.
Okay. I can get that.
And it needs to, because I'm like, there's areas in there that needs to look dark.
One thing for sure though, they cannot monkey around with the music, because the Super Metroid soundtrack is one of the greatest Nintendo soundtracks ever.
Yes. The area where you're going to, like the sinking ship area when it's the water and stuff.
Yes.
That has to be creepy. And I don't think 3D could do it or anything, or sprite based could really make it. Like you literally just like I think following you coming down, just like add some creepiness. And I think like a hand draw comic style will kind of fix that or anything. And maybe if you like pre-order it, you could get a DVD comic book or something that you just put in your DVD player and kind of just like.
Oh, careful now! Nintendo is not all about that life.
When they showed that Star Fox Zero, when they showed that anime, I was just like, I need this. We was talking about anime earlier, everybody, before we got into the show, and we was talking about manga and stuff. And who did Ninja Scroll? Who did that animation?
That was
one of the big names.
I think it was Tovik Studio. Oh. I think so. You know what? I said I wasn't going to open the browser and start looking at stuff, but let's see something here. Ninja Scroll was Ninja Scroll. Who animated it? That's what I need to know. The anime. Why is it not saying? It's the same. It's the same. Okay, well, I'm not sure who the studio was, but it says it was the same studio. It was the same studio. They did one of the segments of in the Animatrix. Okay,
yeah. It's a real known. I think it starts with an M.
Toho and Movic.
Yeah. yeah, if they could do like the animation and stuff for it, I would be so down with that
For Metroid?
for Metroid. Like if they was
Super
doing
for
like
a Super Metroid remake.
yes
Hell,
for
you know what?
for a
Actually,
DVD.
you know what? Scrap it. Let's just have them do. Let's just have them do a Metroid adaptation. Don't even have them doing the artwork for the game.
Oh no, not for the game. I'm sorry. I was talking about for the DVD, like the
Okay,
comic
okay.
thing for the look and stuff. Cause man, Metroid, I could see Metroid as a movie, but Metroid is such a personal
Honestly,
adventure as a game.
honestly, if I were to say have an animation studio do it, I'd say the same group of people who did Ghost in the Shell. They make the major look like a work of art with
Yes.
the way she moves, how they animate her and everything. And I'm telling you, man, like shoot, she might Motogo Kusanagi is probably Samus Aran in a different life. She's tough. She's a one person army, but she will use a team if she needs to and stuff like that. She's got tech and gadgets, out the wazoo and stuff like that. That's but also I'm a fanboy. I love Metroid and I love Ghost in the Shell, so I'm a fanboy.
Once again, can can we be boyfriends?
You know what? The way this conversation is going, it might happen.
Everybody, I might have a boyfriend at the end. So uh, I know Corey gonna look at this and be like, Ed, you can't be hitting on the gas. I'm like, well, let's continue on. Let's just say.
All right,
So
what's wait, so we got sidetracked because we were talking about how I got into content creation, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So
All right. So well, we're really it's been something I wanted to do for a while. I can't say it's for the longest time. Like it was my burning desire because I used to write. I used to be a senior editor for a web blog called Pop Culture Shock, and me and a bunch of buddies we used to write and do podcasting too. But we used to write about like all the pop culture stuff that's going on. So like comic books, TV shows, movies, music, video games, stuff like that. And I was a contributor. I was a member of the team for I want to say like 6 or 7 years, and it was something I did, secondary to my actual job because I used to work for the devil that we know is called GameStop. Yeah, and I did that in the interim, and actually when I no longer work for GameStop, I continued to do that for about 3 years before ultimately we shut the blog down. Like we weren't getting the readership anymore. Like
mhm.
the click throughs weren't happening the way they used to and stuff like that. So we just basically we archived the site so once I started working with because I work for IT tech company now, and I actually got more and more into computers and electronics and stuff like that, and slowly rekindled like this whole thing for me getting back into it because I shifted to the dark side and became a PC gamer after years and years and years of being just a console gamer.
I don't think you shifted to the dark side. I think you just found another platform to play games.
Well, according to my friends who are mad that I do not play Monster Hunter anymore on PS4, like I am Darth Vader.
You're playing Monster Hunter. That's all that matters to me. I don't care where you play it from. Look. I bought Monster Hunter World. I bought Monster Hunter World on Xbox One and PS4 for anybody who wanted to play that game.
Okay, I can't say I can't say I bought it for PS4 and PC for anybody that wants to play the game because you can't find me on PC version anymore. I no longer have an active subscription to PlayStation Plus. So I mean, someone would have to pay money for me to get back onto the game, but they'd also have to like wait for me to catch up to where I'm at now with my PC.
Yeah.
I tell people I was like, hey, like get the PC version. It's not like the PC version, is going to like have you like invest a whole bunch of money into the system. I'm not gonna bog you guys down with tech talk and jargon, as far as like what you need for a computer. But like the average gaming computer that you buy in a store right now will run Monster Hunter just fine. And you won't have to spend like quadruple thousands of dollars.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I got friends who were kind of upset at me. It's funny too because like I was in a group chat with some friends the other day, and one of them was like, "Hey, when I get Monster Hunter, are we playing?" And I wasn't even thinking. I just immediately like responded. I'm like, "You're getting on PC?" and then everybody else jumping like, no, he's not getting it on PC. So everybody's sick of my shit.
I enjoy watching you play Monster Hunter, and
Thanks.
I gag and laugh and like I'm like I want to be there with him and talk to him during this game. Like
you see it all. You see the triumphs, the mistakes. Because I make some mistakes because I've been playing Monster Hunter since it was a thing back on PS2 with the very first game where the learning curve was infinitely hard. Like you had to learn how to cook meat. You had to learn how to cook meat.
Can I tell you that me and Jesse was talking about Monster Hunter and I was talking about the SSD, and I was just like, people were modding their PlayStation 2s and their systems so that things could load fast.
Yeah.
And when you look at SSDs, before what Series X and PlayStation 5 was doing, you could see videos of people comparing Monster Hunter loading regularly versus it being on the SSD. Like people were modding their systems.
Loading it off the disc versus loading off the disc and the RAM in the original base game to loading it to the PlayStation hard drive and doing load times and then people who still have freaking PlayStations when SSDs were expensive, what was the standard size when SSDs first came out was freaking, I want to say 60 gigabytes. Just imagine that, 60 gigabytes. Like my computer right now has like 17 terabytes in it.
Dang.
Spread across like 7 different hard drives, of course. But you spent nearly $500 for a 60 gigabyte hard drive. 60 gigabytes right now is one freaking video game. You buy The Last of Us, you need two 60 gigabyte hard drives to play that game.
Yes.
To load that game.
Yes.
So the fact that they were using SSDs in the old brick style PlayStations to load that game and then seeing those load times was, man, that's I need to go to YouTube and see that.
Like,
because when World came out, I got it first on PlayStation 4. Well, you could only get it on PlayStation 4 or Xbox because the PC version wasn't ready. It took them 9 months to get the PC version ready. You know, Capcom, if you want to have a conversation about that, find me at X's803 on Twitter. But yeah, it took them 9 months to get the PC version ready, which kind of slighted us. Because I honestly, Monster Hunter is my game, so I want to play it with the most phenomenal experience I can. I knew I was going to get that experience on PC. Unlocked frame rate. Unlocked frame rate. I don't know why my. I guess I'm being animated right now while I'm talking to you because this is actually recording. This is actually recording me like I'm actually like exercising. I already ran 2 miles today. I'm not running anymore today. But yeah, unlock frame rate, because the PlayStation version was locked. The PlayStation and the Xbox version was locked at 30 frames per second.
Yes.
But also, like textures and stuff were locked in at certain levels and stuff like that. You've seen my gameplay of Monster Hunter on PC.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even look like the same game, does it? And guess what?
It does not.
There are no mods. There are no mods for the actual game itself. I've got a bunch of mods in my Monster Hunter game for some things to change quality of life stuff. Like, for example, there are certain items you have in your item box. There's no reason why you should be just carrying one of them. That's just a waste, stuff like that. But the PC version versus the console version, night and day difference. And I'm not even saying it like the console versions are just a bad game. If you want the best experience, which is what I wanted for Monster Hunter, which is why I was jaded, when console version came out first, and I was like, oh well, the PC version is coming fall of this year. And I'm like, y'all just released Monster Hunter in January. It's coming out in fall. Come on, guys. So yeah, and so finally the PC version comes out, and I'm seeing this game load on my SSD, and I'm sitting here like, you post a quest, you initiate a quest, and you depart for a quest, and then it's like 2 seconds later you're in the quest. Or in the console version is like 7 seconds later you're in the quest.
Yes.
Differences.
Yes. Because you was fighting. When I started watching you, I think you and random players was fighting like that really big dragon, and you had to hide behind the rocks that he carried and stuff. You remember that one that he killed?
Safi Jiva.
Yeah. He for some unknown reason he killed everybody.
Yeah.
And no one knew, and I was on your side like, what the world happened?
Yeah. Okay.
Because he wasn't supposed to do something that you said.
Something glitched in the game, because basically he has like what we call a supernova attack. Well, but basically he's not supposed to do that nova attack unless he's done another attack which causes a cover system. He basically fires a beam at the ceiling, and it causes a bunch of stalactites to drop on the ground, and that creates your cover. Usually he sprays that beam, and that's your signal that nova's coming, because that nova usually happens, a couple minutes after like the stalactites have hit the ground and you actually have something to run behind. This sucker does it. He just did a nova. He destroyed the rocks that were our cover system, and then 3 minutes later he does it again without blasting the cover out from the ceiling. And it's like, wait a minute. And it caused us to fail the whole mission because everybody died. It's an instant kill.
And my mouth was agape. Like, what?
I was so mad because we're on the final level too, which means she was about to die, but apparently she was like, not today.
She's just like, I got some more killing to do, and I think I think you put the controller down for a good 30 seconds, and I was watching the stream like, what happened? Because I think I hit you like after the stream. I think I messaged you, just be like, what the world just happened? But
every now and then games have glitches, and that wasn't like a game breaking glitch or anything. Stuff like that happens sometimes. That's not the first time ever in a game like Monster Hunter where like it didn't properly reset to give you the fair advantage of being able to defend yourself. Because shoot, we got freaking Elatrion coming out this week. As a matter of fact, tomorrow's DLC, a brand new Elder Dragon, will be in the game, and it's actually the Elder Dragon that I've always hated since they introduced him in Monster Hunter 3. And I'm already sitting up here like, man, I'm just gonna play it one time, get the kill, and I'm never fighting it again. Because literally, when he introduced Monster Hunter 3, I had such a hard time with it. When I got one kill on that sucker, that's all I ever did. I just killed it that one time, never looked back. I was like, I don't need his armor, I don't need his weapons, I don't need his skills, I don't need nothing. And based off of what I'm seeing from the developer's diary that Capcom put out, like, it's probably gonna be another one. I'll play the mission. If I'm not feeling the mission, I'm gonna beat that sucker one time. I'm moving on. I don't care how ultimate and badass his weapons is. Well, actually, I'm lying. I will probably get his armor. I'm lying. But I'm not gonna spam it to death though. Like I like fighting the other creatures. People, my friends and stuff, like, because they know me. I'll play Monster Hunter until the new game comes out. Like, so like if Monster Hunter World. Let me see. Monster Hunter World came out 2 years ago. Actually, was it 2 years ago? Yeah. Monster Hunter World came out 2 years ago. So I've been playing it since day one, and I've been playing it. I played it from one console to a different system since it's been out. So if they don't release a new Monster Hunter game for another 2 or 3 years, I'm probably gonna be playing Monster Hunter World until the new game comes out, because that's what I did with Monster Hunter 4 and Generations. That's what I did with Monster Hunter Tri and Ultimate. That's what I did with Monster Hunter 2 and Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. That's what I do. I played the PS2 version, the very first game, until they took the servers down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Monster and Monster Hunter is honestly. Monster Hunter was meant to be the last RPG game I ever played, because I fell out of love with RPGs after Final Fantasy. Actually, I can't say for sure when I fell out of love with RPGs, but I fell out of love with RPGs in the PS2 era. So I want to say the last couple of games that I actually beat from that RPGs was a game called Rogue Galaxy. Of course,
Yes.
yeah, I love that game. I love the art style. I love the art style of that game
Yes.
because if I'm not mistaken, that studio wasn't that Factor 5 Studio.
Yeah, it was.
They were the same people that did a Dark something. It was two other RPGs. Dark something.
I know what you're talking about. Not Dark World.
Dark World.
Not
Dark. But yeah, I liked that was one of the last RPGs I beat.
Dark Cloud.
Dark Cloud. Yes, Dark Cloud 2. Dark Cloud 2. That was one of the last games I beat. So yeah, Rogue Galaxy was one of the last games I beat. Also, of course, Kingdom Hearts 2 was one of the last RP. As a matter of fact, not saying anything bad about Kingdom Hearts, but I think Kingdom Hearts was the beginning of my decline from RPGs. So Monster Hunter comes out, and Monster Hunter was already at a point where I was like fed up because of course, like Final Fantasy 12 was already out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just beat down. Like it seemed like Square Enix was just beating us over the head with RPGs all the time, and other companies were starting to get into the fray. Like Western RPGs hadn't been a thing yet because everyone's hearing about how, like I just said, I'm tired of RPGs, but here I am replaying the entire Mass Effect franchise, and that came after all these games.
Yes,
stuff like that. But that's because of the advent of Western RPGs. Western RPGs actually, in my opinion, saved a declining market of the actual traditional RPG games.
See, and I have, this is where our difference come from, because I think I had GameCube, so I had Tales of Symphonia.
I had Tales of Symphonia. Wait, Symphonia. Oh no, I'm thinking, what was the game? The Air Pirates game, because that was a Dreamcast port.
Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah, okay. I was getting the two confused, but yeah, I know Tales of Symphonia. Tales of Symphonia was actually not a bad game. It was not.
It was the kind of game that kind of got the Tales franchise really well known, and it was the story, the gameplay, the music, the dialogue. It was it's very Japanese. It's very JRPG.
If I didn't know any better, I would have said that Tales of Symphonia was the same group that did Skies of Arcadia. But we know when the Dreamcast went belly up, that company disappeared too.
Well, no. Skies of Arcadia was developed by Sega. That's a Sega franchise.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know it was a Sega franchise, but I thought that studio closed though after that.
If they did, then Sega closed them.
Okay, yeah, because I know, because we got the port of it. Well, actually, we got Skies of Arcadia. What was it, R or something? There was like a special sub part of the name.
We got the GameCube version of Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah, which was a port plus some.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got that. I have to go back and look, because I know at the Tales of Symphonia, of course, we got Tales of Symphonia 2 on Wii, but it's like I jumped from
Vesperia and all those. Yep.
Yeah, but Tales of Graces F on PS3 was really good. I enjoyed Tales of Graces F. That one was really good. Kingdom Hearts. Oh, go ahead.
I did play one of the Star Ocean games on PS2, but I can't remember. It was the one with the hillbilly priest.
Ooh.
I know. That's just a weird thing to latch onto, but it was, and I want to say it was. I want to say it came out like right after Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. That's how close those two games were to each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me and Jesse have this discussion because he liked Wild Arms on PS1. I did it.
I enjoyed Wild Arms, but let me tell you this: I never beat Wild Arms 1 because that game failed. That game failed in QA. Like, people that test the games to make sure the game is playable and stuff. I was in the last tower. The tower that you actually beat the game in. And the tower was kind of like a puzzle. But there was a room. If you went to a room and you hadn't saved, you had no way of going back. You had no way of going. As a matter of fact, it was it's hard to say, and you know, like you would think with as mad as I am about the game, it'd be burned, like it'd be like seared into my memory. But I kid you not, like I was playing the game and I realized I'd gotten lost, and I saved, and I used it, and I hit a save point. I hit the save point though after I'd gotten lost, so I could never go back. And I even looked at a strategy guide to see what I was doing wrong, why I couldn't get out that room. I was stuck. There was no way for me to get out. And Wild Arms on the PlayStation 1 is the game that made me implement the 2-save system on the memory card.
Yep.
because I put all that time in the Wild Arms, I could not get out of that room, which means I could not beat the game unless I started over. And I was like, hell no. No. I didn't start over. So I never beat Wild Arms. Wild Arms 2 came out. I didn't even want to play it. Wild Arms 3 came out. I was like, I'll think about it. Never played it.
I think one of the worst RPGs I have ever played was called Beyond the Beyond.
Ooh.
That was PlayStation 1, and that was when they gave you that character who was automatically poison, and you could not heal him.
Did I beat Beyond the Beyond? I want to say I beat Beyond the Beyond. It was a sprite. It was like a spritey game. It was like a spritey dungeon crawler game, right?
Yeah, almost like Suikoden did.
I'm pretty sure I beat that game. I remember that character you're talking about. I don't remember the circumstances of the entire game, but I remember. I remember that
he had poison. You had to go on a quest to to get him unpoisoned, and I let him get killed. And I was just like, he died, and I never used him. And then I should stop playing the game because I was just like, this is nonsense. I'm like, you don't design an RPG like this.
You know, that PlayStation 1 was probably the start of my decline for RPGs, though, because like every time you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a new RPG.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't. I mean, of course, like what was that one game that Sony made? It was a Legend of Dragoon.
Love Legend.
Love that.
I never got to play Legend of Dragoon.
Oh, well, you probably played the PS when they ported it to PSP on the PlayStation Store. Did you play it then?
Nope.
Okay.
I still never played Legend.
Yeah, Legend of Dragoon was Sony's answer to Final Fantasy VII, and he wound up making a very wonderful game. Actually, it just wasn't Final Fantasy VII. But Legend of Dragoon was a good game, and I think people are still clamoring for a sequel, but that's never going to happen.
No, I thought Bluepoint was remaking it, but nothing's been said.
I don't think nothing's happened.
So I think it's on PS4. If it is, I might have to download it. I might have to pick it up and.
Oh no, on the PlayStation Store for PS4.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure. Shoot, I need to play Last of Us 2, which means I have to blow the dust off my PlayStation. Take her out to dinner and make sure she's satisfied. Because I know she's mad at me.
That game is. I'm still playing The Last of Us 2, and I'm trying to get to the end. This game is super long.
Oh, it's long.
It's long.
Okay. Well, that's weird because people were blowing the dust off of it in 5 days.
Right, because they didn't have to go nowhere.
Oh yeah, COVID-19. That's the other reason that got me into streaming. Because I was like, man, I'm tired. As an IT guy, I was working from home, which means I'm sitting on my computer all the time. I might as well do something with it. And so ultimately, I had friends who were calling me out man, all this knowledge you have about Monster Hunter, you play the game all the time. Why aren't you putting this online? I'm like, I don't know, why aren't I? And then I think my best friend Trey called me out on it, and he's like, boy, if you don't start streaming. So I started streaming, and I don't I have a schedule that I do for streaming, but I don't stick with it. But that's also because I've been doing all this behind the scenes work, trying to get both my channels to some equilibrium and stuff. Because technically I stream. I'm supposed to stream according to my schedule. Monday nights from 9 to 11, Wednesday nights from 9 to 11, and Saturday Saturday, sometime during the day, Saturday. So I have on the schedule to be determined because I can start as early as 2 o'clock and just run until 11 p.m. or I can start as late as 6 o'clock and run until 11 or midnight. And then Sunday is supposed to be a regular streaming day, but it also depends on if I have to prepare for the weekend and stuff like that. So it all depends on but I have a streaming schedule. Apologies if I don't stick to it, but I am working on content. And I'm trying to just get my channels just to a point where it feels like someone that knows what they're doing is running those channels.
Yeah,
and also my YouTube channel is going to evolve into what I used to do on Pop Culture Shock. So I'm going to actually start doing things like actually doing reviews, going back to doing reviews for TV shows and stuff like that. I'm also, because I'm an IT guy, I'm also going to start doing tech reviews and stuff like that. So you actually get to see me talk about like the latest and greatest, like the new mouse or the new keyboard or new monitors and stuff like that, or of course like CPUs, hard drives, and stuff in between. So I need to start looking for sponsors. So I don't know. I may have to do something unseemly like sell my body or something, just to get sponsors and get some swag so I can start talking about their stuff.
You already know the thirst is out there. So, which it was just funny that you're talking about streaming because I'm streaming Okami HD, and I'm still doing it. Yeah, so I'm doing it on Mixer. Still, I'm streaming it I'm gonna try to do the whole game on Mixer.
Mixer
before the 22nd.
Okay.
Like 2 the day before the 23rd of Microsoft Showcase.
Okay. Wow. I did not realize that.
I told my friend that like 2 days ago. I was just like, this is weird. So Mixer ends on the 22nd. The showcase starts on the 23rd.
You know what? Microsoft needs to be lucky that it's all virtual this year and they don't have to deal with people in an auditorium, because I guarantee you there will be some salty people there for that show. if they were doing it live. Ninja just had his first YouTube stream since post Mixer.
I heard about that he was on YouTube now. I'm like,
yeah, wait, well, I kind of knew he wasn't going back to Twitch. I knew because basically like when he made the deal with Microsoft, like Twitch did him dirty. Yeah, they I don't know all the logistics of it, but there was a point where like if you went to Twitch and went to Mixer's channel, like you had some people that like hijacked his channel and was putting up like questionable content. When I say questionable content, I'm talking like pornographic content and stuff like that. Like they did, and basically I can't say this is what was going on, but I think this was Twitch's way, the powers that be, that was trying to ruin his name, because he went to Mixer and he took that entire like fan base with him. Didn't he have like an insane amount of followers and subs?
Yeah, he did.
He had an insane amount, and took it to Mixer, and I do feel bad, but and I'm kind of glad when I was getting into content creation, I'm kind of glad that I did just a little bit of research about things, because I'm not saying Mixer was a bad platform, but based off of what I was trying to do with what I wanted to do, like I just knew Mixer wasn't going to be a thing for me, and sure as hell wasn't going to be Facebook gaming.
Oh no. I think Mixer, because it's built in my Xbox One, because I said I've been having problems with Twitch. And so I was just like, let me just use my Xbox One, go on Mixer. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be a big personality or anything, because I'm like, I got Boss Rush for that. I got my own podcast for that. Like I put that content out there. People want to see and hear me. I just want to show off games, or I want to like go through a whole series and like record it. Because I did Just Cause 3. It's a nightmare of a game. But I was just like,
I was thinking about picking up Just Cause 5 on the Steam sale right now. It's like $15 on the summer sale. Huh?
You mean 4?
No, 5. Wait, Just Cause. Oh, I'm thinking Far Cry. I'm sorry.
Far Cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I also have on Xbox One. I need to get back into. I was just having problems on Twitch, and I was just like, I'm having connection issues. And when I just felt like Mixer was such easier to get on,
I have a theory about that. I feel like these companies sometimes make it hard especially when it's a competing platform. Mixer was Microsoft's thing. So I think I feel like there was just little hurdles you had to jump through that, just kind of like killed the experience if you were doing it on any place other than Mixer. Just like I'm pretty sure there's hurdles if you're not using like PlayStation Share, PS4 Share, for certain things. And it's just one of those things, like, because I've been learning the really nuanced ways of like OBS combined with Twitch and combined with YouTube versus the hardware stuff, like for because I have an NVIDIA graphics card, so the GeForce Experience and Shadowplay is there, and I've had to learn the nuances on that. Some things go better on one apparatus like YouTube versus Twitch, stuff like that. And I feel like when you have a company like Microsoft that's trying to monopolize on one thing, they don't make it hard for you on purpose, but they find ways to make it not desirable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just streaming is just something I think it's not a bad thing. I think me and Corey was talking about this. I talk to my friends. I keep saying that. I mean, these people over me and these other people. Me and Corey definitely was talking about, like, I love streaming in particular. I love watching people play different games, but I'm just like, everybody's playing Fortnite. Everybody's playing Apex Legends. It's just like, even with PUBG and stuff, like all these battle royals and multiplayer games, that's great. I'm like, but I want to see people play stuff outside.
You know why they play in those games? They're playing those games because the developers have some skin in the game, and you might become the next big thing in esports. So people are playing these games and stuff like that. And I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking that at all.
No.
If that's your thing, do it. But are you just an Apex Legends player? Are you just a PUBG player? Is that all you ever play? If that is, and that's your thing. But if you play other stuff, like, I have a pretty diverse background in video games. Like, I'll play, like we were just talking, I'll play anything from Super Mario to Bayonetta to Resident Evil to Monster Hunter to Mass Effect to The Witcher. I used to play like simulation racing games like Gran Turismo, but now I'm more like arcade racing, like Need for Speed and Burnout, which they need to make another Burnout game that feels just like Paradise.
Please, I know. I have Paradise. I need to start that, but man, Burnout Takedown was my jam.
Takedown was revolutionary.
And what's crazy was just like, this game is arcadey. It's fun taking them down. That's all I really wanted to do. But the soundtrack was good. I think what hindered that game was that you got to meet certain requirements to unlock stuff to get forward. I'm like, just let me progress. I'm knocking 15,000 cars off the road, and I'm on the wrong side trying to go fast. Let me do what's so fun and addictive. And it was because I played it on GameCube, and it was just like, I don't care what system you was playing Burnout Takedown, it was the experience that was so fun. And I'm this is the stuff that EA needs more of.
Right. I'm so tired of EA and Activision playing for that role of the devil in video gaming. Yes. I'm tired of that. They get not in their own way. Well, actually do get in their own way, because they do stupid things to force their developers to make really bad decisions, and then it costs them, like the money they put at stake for these games. Like, just look at Mass Effect Andromeda, for example. Well, number one, they split the company, and they had the main wing of BioWare, doing Anthem, and then they had their B squad doing Mass Effect. Now, here's my thing: if you knew Andromeda was your sure shot, why didn't you have the main team working on Andromeda and have the B team, Montreal? I'm calling them the B team like that's a bad thing, but BioWare Montreal did not have the same level of chops, of development chops with Mass Effect like they did with they had some other games under their belts. Like they honestly should have been working on other titles. And I'm not even saying this because like I don't feel like Montreal did anything bad with Mass Effect. I just feel like they didn't have all the right resources allocated to them because EA wanted Anthem to come out at the same time, and that's what messed up Mass Effect Andromeda.
Which is fair because Anthem plays like Mass Effect 3.
Oh, I know. As a matter of fact, I was guaranteed. I was a guaranteed buy for Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
But Mass Effect Andromeda messed Anthem up for me, and it didn't mess it up for me in the reason you're thinking. It wasn't that Mass Effect Andromeda came out and it was a trash game. It wasn't that. It was EA was greedy. They took the core BioWare team to make Anthem, and they just left Mass Effect in somebody else's hands. That's like if I'm a Trekkie. So say for example, you've been a main production head on Star Trek, and I've never did any writing or anything like that or production for Star Trek at all. But they pull you away to work on another project and say, "Hey, let's do it. Hey, LeRon, here's your shot. Make the next Star Trek." And I don't know squat about Star Trek, or I don't have the same level of enthusiasm about Star Trek. How do you think the fans are going to take to that game? Are going to take to that?
They're going to be upset.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I seen it as this is that the DICE engine that DICE was using. I think that was one of the problems with EA at that time is that most of their games was running on whatever I forgot what DICE engine.
The DICE engine is great for first person shooters. It is not great. It is not great for games like Mass Effect and Anthem.
It would have been great for Anthem and Mass Effect. Don't forget, DICE is the only one that know how to use their own engine.
That's true.
It literally felt like they gave that engine to. Like, y'all just work on the engine. We're not gonna teach you nothing. What?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's what a lot of people like. It took them a couple of years, but people finally started able to have interviews about the development process for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
And that was one of the main things they said. They said the DICE engine is a good engine, but it just wasn't good enough for Mass Effect because they wanted Mass Effect's engine to stay very similar to Mass Effect 3 with some upgrades. And they thought DICE's engine would be what does it. And DICE's engine was just not built properly for what the architecture was for Mass Effect engine. It wasn't.
Yeah. It kind of felt, because I don't know what engine Titanfall 2 was running on with Respawn, but I felt like if Respawn would have shared some information, whatever engine they may have been doing Unreal, I don't know. Whatever engine they was using for Titanfall 2, if they would have worked with BioWare to make Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda, I don't think they would have had the problems that they were, because I think BioWare is a talented studio, and like I said, I did not like a lot of BioWare stuff until Mass Effect, until I sat down and played the trilogy, and I fell in love with them. I didn't have no problem with Anthem. I didn't really have a problem with Mass Effect Andromeda. I kind of just felt like they didn't have no leadership, and they were just throwing something that they had to put together, and it sucks that they got the ridicule and they got the hate. And
I feel so bad for those guys.
Right, and it's just like even if not Dragon Quest, even if
Dragon Age,
even if that's not a big game and it hits, it's going to be sad because I hope EA doesn't close them. BioWare's just too talented. And
actually, I feel like okay, I feel like EA's learned a lot from their mistakes in the last decade. I feel like they have. Because it's weird. It's weird how video games go. Like EA and Activision were buying up all these studios,
Yes.
And then one flop comes out and they close those studios. But
Mm-hmm.
now they're at a point where they've run out of resources to where if they keep closing these studios down, they're not going to be able to sustain themselves. I mean, what's EA gonna do? Like hope Madden and FIFA keep them afloat?
Mm-hmm.
if they lose franchises like Call of Duty, Battlefield. If they lose Battlefield, if they lose BioWare, you know, if they lose Respawn, what are they gonna do?
Have not one idea.
Exactly.
Literally, at this point in time, don't have not one idea. Their mobile stuff is just we won't get to Command and Conquer and that nonsense. Um, Maybe that one guy who was at the Game Awards who
Oh yeah.
his crazy self. When he was on EA Play, I muted the thing and I was just like, I don't care about you. Move along. Let's get
speaking
this
of
going.
speaking of Game Awards and shows, I did a reaction video to the PS4 to the PS5 event. Did you get a chance
Yeah.
to check that out?
Yes, I'm
check
finished
check
watching it because
check out my reaction.
yes.
Okay. Because
I
I I it happened in the middle of a workday, so I watched the beginning of it, but I couldn't watch the end of it. So I recorded it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna record, I'm gonna download it, and then I'm gonna restream it, and I'm gonna make a reaction video of it, and hopefully I came off pretty genuine.
It did. Like I think because we was doing the day you was recording your reactions, we was recording our reactions, and so
That's right. Yes.
we couldn't like watch each other's or we couldn't like collab.
That's right, because you did send me an invite to collab if I wanted to, but I was like, oh, I kind of already got a time slot set.
Yeah. So it was I think we were all I think us and you were on the same boat that it was a great showing. The games are phenomenal. Like this, Microsoft, take note of this. This is what you need to do for your showcase. We were talking about that, and then we got to the system and the design,
It's like,
and
what
we
is
was
this,
just
what's
like,
this
what
glorified Wi-Fi router? What is this?
exactly? I was just like, what? Okay, and I will admit, the digital version looks better.
Yeah.
The digital version, good. We designed that physical version because I was just like, you don't need this then taco soft shell sleek thing to be wrapped around this black because the black design with the like the air vents coming out with the blue, that looks amazing. And I
Yeah.
said if it
Are
would
you talking about the fan made mock up of it?
yeah
They said that.
the middle part of it.
Oh, okay.
Of the PS5, because I was just like, what if they had the symbols that's on the controller as like when you cut it on, that symbol's on the system and it cuts on, you see the blue come out of it, and it changes colors when it's loading and stuff like that. Like really have a cool
Kind of like how the light bar is on the PS4 right now.
yes, like if they would have had that, bam. I would have loved the system. I'm like, oh, this is a cool design. I like Sony doing it. Because don't get me wrong, I love the controller. The white controller,
Oh my God.
beautiful controller.
You know what? It's funny because like, man, I look at I've got PS4 controllers sitting on my desk right now, and I've got PS3 controllers are in a box like right beside my desk because every now and then I need a PS3 controller for some of these PC games I'm playing.
Yes.
But man, like even though it looks different, it's still a DualShock controller, and it is probably the most gorgeous DualShock controller I have seen since the PS3's DualShock controller.
Yes, I would agree.
The PS4's controller is big. It's big and is a little unwieldy, if that makes sense. It's bigger than the PS3s and the PS2s because the PS3 and the PS2s I think are basically the same size.
Yeah,
but the PS4 is bigger than the DualShock 3.
I cannot play. I can't play Destiny on the PS4. I got my red controller here. I tried to play that demo on this controller. I'm like, my wrist hurt, so I got it for Xbox, and I was just like, oh, this is.
It took me a while to get used to the Xbox controller because universally, I never had an Xbox system. Um, I had an Xbox 360 for all like 2 minutes because I had a friend, my buddy Howard. He's made some comments on my Mass Effect videos because he's the person that was telling me get Mass Effect, and I'm like, it's on a system I don't have. He's like, I don't care, like spend the money, get it. Uh, you know what? I owe Howard an apology because yes, if I had the commitment, I would have actually played Mass Effect on the 360. But all the way through on the 360. But I just never liked the feel of the Xbox controllers in my hand. Even way back to the first one, it looked like the freaking Batman symbol.
Yes.
all the way to now. Even though the new Xbox controller, the new Xbox controller is actually nice. I've gotten used to it now.
Yeah.
And it does not feel bad. But the one thing that's always bugged me is just the placement of the analog sticks. Like it's weird because I feel like the placement of the analog stick for the right side is just designed to give you a hand cramp.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think because I had that when I got the original Xbox, I got like I think it was like a thinner version with the S controller.
Yeah.
No, it was still the VCR murder item that it was with the S controller. I did not touch the 360. I'm like, this is 5-6 versions of the system, and it still felt like the last version was like the best version of 360. But like, I had a PS3 Slim. I'm like, I'm just playing my games there. And then when I got Xbox One, when I saw Xbox One, I loved the design. I love the look. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I love that top part.
The Xbox One's design is nice. It is.
Yeah. I'm like, I hated the Xbox 360 controller. Got my hands on the Xbox One controller, loved it. I'm like, oh, this is the best controller Microsoft has ever done.
I can agree with that too.
And yes, everybody, you already know my Nintendo history, so I don't need to go into that with Nintendo's controllers.
Do you know the hardest adjustment I have as far as Nintendo controllers was a Nintendo 64 controller? That was the hardest adjustment I had. And I don't know, maybe it was because my PlayStation gamer was showing at that point because what they call the PlayStation controller before they called it DualShock. Actually, I don't think they even had a patented name for the PlayStation controller when it was the first edition before the analog sticks came out and the Rumble.
Yeah.
I don't think there was an official name for it. But when the DualShock came out, like that was it. Like it was. I feel like it was the holy grail of. I think the only controller that felt better than that is the NES controller, the original one.
Really?
And we all know you'll get the freaking hand cramps from that sucker.
Yeah.
But as far as like feeling natural in your hand, I feel like the NES controller is the only other one that competes with the PlayStation controllers.
See, I think it's the GameCube controller.
I knew you were going to say the GameCube controller, but there's something a little wonky about that yellow stick. There was something wonky about it.
I think I didn't have the problem with the wonky stick. I think it was just like with the games that I was playing and hearing that click. Definitely when I'm playing Resident Evil 4, I think it just felt comfortable and like I just didn't feel no pain. Even with the Wii remote and in the gamepad and stuff. Like I think it was with because definitely with the Pro controller, I'm like I don't feel no pain when I'm playing these games.
Actually, the Wii Pro controller and the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, I don't. You know what? People can say this is a freaking urban legend or whatever, but I feel like Nintendo and Microsoft have been doing hanky panky for a while because those Pro controllers feel just like Xbox controllers, just like it, and you can't tell me otherwise. I mean, I love my Pro controller for my Switch. I love it, and when I had a Wii, I love my Pro controller for that sucker.
Yes, that Pro controller. And was it a Super Nintendo controller?
Yes, there was a Super Nintendo controller too. Yes.
That Super Nintendo, that Pro and that Super Nintendo controller was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
So, yeah. Goodness, we have talked about almost everything besides content creation.
Okay. So I guess
this is pretty much. I think everybody's going to enjoy this movie one because I actually was telling Corey and Jesse, using that term again, that when we did our Pride panel, it literally felt like we had been friends for years,
forever. Yeah.
and just hanging out and
How long?
talking stuff.
How long we even like know each other on social media? I don't even. I want to say it hasn't even 6 whole months.
No, it's probably about 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. I feel yeah. And wait, did I find you or did you find me? I don't know.
I found you because we
Was it a
both
thirst trap?
uh no.
Okay, I was
Well,
about to.
actually,
If it
yeah,
was if
actually
it
it
was
was.
oh it was, okay. I need to lock down. I need to lock down my
No,
my
but
social
it was
media.
no, it was because of our one friend that we know. He was doing the t-shirt challenge, and you did the t-shirt challenge,
Oh yeah.
and so I'm like, oh, okay. So of
By
course
the-
I liked and I followed you, but then I started learning more about you, and
that I'm
like
a freaking
the,
nerd.
that your workout and everything, and just the more that I got to talk to you and everything, it was just like this has surpassed the third stuff. The third stuff is gonna be there. It is what it is.
By the way, if you do start just for the audience out there, if you do start following me on social media, just know that there will be some shirtlessness, maybe some pantlessness. Like it's not gonna be like full nudity or nothing, but just know that can happen every so often. As a matter of fact, I went for a 2 mile run today, and shirtless pictures showed up on social media. So just be ready.
I have to go look at those for research. We always say for research
For
purposes.
research purposes.
No, but it was just like just having our one-on-ones like personally and talking and stuff, and it was just like I love learning about different people, and and just having those conversations, and kind of that's what one v one is. It's just having these conversations and feeling like we're all hanging out and getting to know this person.
I'm liking this. I'm a very conversational guy. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why am on social media is because I like having dialogues with people. I like actually
Yeah.
sharing things with people too. I got ran off of Facebook though because Facebook got overrun by the old people, and that's bad for me to say given that I'm 45 years old. But the older generation, I'm not hating on the boomers and the generation before that, but y'all just need to be better. Take a page out of Melania Trump's book, be best or something, but
Oh, please.
y'all need to be better or something.
That's the wrong thing to say. Take it out Melania's thing, be best. I'm like, did you see what your husband is doing?
Right? Yeah. Well,
Let me rephrase it. I'm sorry.
She need to be best on that one.
She needs to be best herself with her clothing and everything.
I feel like somebody on the Vice Ladies staff is like just setting her up for failure because man, like all the times she's been plagiarized off of the Obama stuff.
Right.
But anyway, but basically I got into social media because like I was never one of those people that have like a journal or something. I definitely didn't do the live journal crap, online and stuff like that. But I did like the aspect of Facebook, like being able to share like parts of your life with people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you wind up getting the crazy, because heaven forbid you talk about something that's actual like socially constructive to the world, like like for example we just had the pride panel, like heaven forbid I say something that supports like gay, trans, or intersex or whatever, and you got blue hair ladies clutching their pearls coming up in your mentions acting like you're the devil. It's like, hey, I said I support it. I didn't say it had to change your life, things like that. Or I got into a very bad way because of my job. Technically I'm like the face of my job. Basically I run the show. Like the only person I answer to is my boss. Right.
Right.
I basically run the company and stuff like that. And I got into a very bad thing because, like I'm a sharer, I'm conversational and stuff like that. So, I saw no big deal in like having like clients, like friending me on Facebook and, stuff like that. If I knew then what I know now about that, I'd have been like, Facebook, what's that?
But the thing about it is that we've been talking about people showing their true colors, and that's been the thing kind of on social media, definitely with the Karens and Kens and all of this stuff. And it's just like,
wait, is it Kens or is it Brads? Because I keep hearing Brads and Chads.
Brads and Chads I haven't heard. Ken and Karens is what I've been hearing. And
they started spelling Karen differently though, because as a matter of fact, I saw it trending.
Did you see it? Caren.
Yes.
I was just like, Karen. Who learned Ebonics to put Karen?
No, I think that was the politically correct way of not calling somebody out by name, because I mean Whoopi Goldberg, her first name is Karen.
My name is Karen. And she would let you know. She would let your soul, the devil that you serve, or the God that you serve, she would let you know about it and then some. So you're apologizing.
Speaking of Karens, though, looks like Amy Cooper is going to go to jail. Did you hear about that? New York, the city of New York, the city of New York is pressing charges on her.
I posted that story. Yeah.
And if they nail her, she's getting a year jail time.
Or 100 hours of community service. Did you see my post that I put with that? I'm just like, wait a minute. So you lost your job, you lost your home, but you have a lawyer to represent you.
I didn't see that, but maybe somebody's going pro bono for her. I don't know.
Did you read the story?
She hired
the lawyer is her representative that's speaking. Cause
she should never open her mouth again. I'll say that.
She has a lawyer that represents her that's speaking for her, so she's not speaking to anybody.
Okay, good. Well, that's the first thing she's done right, and God knows how long.
But then use that money for getting a lawyer to get you a house.
I don't know. Here's what I know for sure. And I like we're supposed to be talking video games and stuff, so this is going to be my one bid for social justice, and then we can move on. Here's what I know. Like. It doesn't matter if you're white, you're black, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or whatnot. There are just certain things you can't do because you've been inconvenienced by somebody. And, and she was completely out of line. I'm not sure what she thought she was trying to do. Maybe she wasn't even thinking that how she came off was how it was going to be. But here's what I know. Like, if somebody on the street is doing something to me right now, until somebody on 911 says, hey, what does this person look like? I am never going to turn around and say, hey, it's a white person, it's an Asian person, it's a black person doing this. I'm going to say, hey, there's a man who's trying to assault somebody out here on the street.
Yes.
Or whatever, when they ask for a description, at that point, I'll be like, okay, he's African American, he's 6'3", he's 240 pounds. I just described myself. He wears glasses.
Y'all better not try. I'm just saying right there.
But basically what I'm saying is, but when you turn around, you look at it, but when you turn around, you look at the Amy Cooper situation, she threatened him saying that she's going to call the police and say that there's a black person. Before she even had the phone in her hand, she told him the intent of what she was going to say.
Right. I'm going to lie to get you arrested. Because I'm doing something illegal.
And what she failed to realize is that her lie in this day and age could have gotten that man killed. Because I have a funny feeling. Based off of Christian, is his last name Cooper also?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, based off of what I know, based off of what I've seen about him, it looks like he'd remain calm if the police did come out and question him and whatnot. He'd remain calm. But that same thing can't be afforded to everybody else. Some people get stressed out immediately when they believe that the authorities are going to show up and things are not going to go their way, and people get stressed out and and there's no textbook reaction for how people react to a situation. If there was a textbook reaction for how people react to a situation, we would know every time how somebody's going to act when they get broken up, when someone breaks up with them, when a family member dies, when they failed an exam. We wouldn't, if there was a textbook reaction for that, we would know every single time that this is how this guy failed his test. This is how he's going to act. But we don't know. There's no textbook way. So, like, if a guy fails a test, he could be, hey, whew, I'm done with school because I can't finish college now. Or he could be like, I just lost every bit of money I've invested in this thing. Right. What am I going to do now? And vice versa. The police are going to show up and question me even though I've done nothing wrong. Or it could be the police are going to show up and question me and I'm going to jail.
For something for no reason.
And because she was in the wrong.
Right. Some man. So
let's move. Let. Oh, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. Some man. We're gonna move on after this. Actually, we're gonna get to the final part. Some man said it was unconstitutional to card him for buying cigarettes, and I was just like, sir, this is state law. And if you don't want to abide by state law, I have every right not to serve you or sell you cigarettes. But I'm going to call the police, and they're going to take you to jail for doing a false report.
For doing your job?
Right. They're going to come in and be like, sir, he's right. This is state law. In fact, that they're going to policy that you can read right there.
You know what? That's the other thing, too. Like people's entitlements have gotten things twisted, because I'm glad now, you know what? And it's honestly because I work in the private sector now and I don't work in the public sector because I work for a privately owned business, This is for the first time in my entire employment history, my boss is like, no, the customer is not always right.
Yeah.
That's the most foreign concept I've ever heard of because after I got in the military, I was working for places like Verizon, Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, UPS. I work for GameStop, and all those retail chains, the customer is always right.
But the thing about it is that the customer isn't always right, because the thing about it is that if you feel like that you're right and because you're not getting what you wanted, you're not going to shop at our store. That's completely fine. Don't shop it. Why is it that I see you the next 2 days in my store while I'm here? Mm-hmm, you just said that you wasn't going to shop here.
You weren't coming back.
But see, you don't want to drive out 5 miles from your house to go somewhere to get something. Mm-hmm. You want to continue to drive here.
Yeah.
So don't give me the look. You're not getting the Academy Award. You're not getting the Oscar. You can perform the best drama that you want to do, but you know what? The local high school does the same thing, and it does better.
Hang on. Let's rate the theatrics that Amy Cooper went to. No. Seriously, let's move on. That's my last jab for the night.
So we're gonna get to the last part of the show because I have been taking up a lot of your time. I know you're probably tired.
It's cool. Because I'm trying to figure out like what I'm gonna do next. I was thinking about playing some Monster Hunter because I did want to get ready for tomorrow's the new content, but I might just chill because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming on soon.
Okay, yeah, because it's well, I know it's late. What do you want to do for like the future? And do you have any aspiring words to anybody who wants to create content or start a podcast or get into like computer tech and stuff like that? What words would you say?
So the advice I would give for anyone that's trying to start out in like streaming, podcasts, or whatever it is you want to do, do it. Just get started. Everybody has a starting point. I would tell you a mistake I made was waiting to get everything perfect, because honestly, my setup is nowhere close to perfect, but I was like, oh, I gotta get this. I was trying to get a green screen. But if you checked out any of my streams, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube, you've noticed you're looking at the back wall of my bedroom. I don't even have like an actual official space yet because because in all honesty, I was not trying to do it out of my bedroom, but I have roommates and I just can't take up like one place in the common area of the house just to do my thing. That's being an a-hole, or stuff like that. So if you whatever you want to do, if you want to be a Twitch streamer, if you want to be on YouTube, if you want to create content and just get it out there and stuff like that, start as soon as you can. Don't wait for things to get perfect because waiting for perfection will slow you down. I mean, I'm sitting here now, like I've got to worry about some new hardware and stuff. I finally made the decision. It's going against what I initially thought, but I finally made the decision. I'm going to buy a capture card so I can actually capture console content. So I'll be doing mixed content again, because with The Last of Us 2 coming out, I was like, man, this would have been great. And I don't want to mess with PS4 share, because I want to be able to edit the content. I want to be able to. People don't like seeing certain things. And that's another thing I've been learning with OBS. Like, people don't like seeing certain things. Like, I have two widescreen monitors I play my games on. So, like, if the resolution on Twitch and on YouTube, you wind up getting the parallel black bars. I'm sorry,
Yes.
the vertical black bars. I've had to do some juggling to get around that and stuff like that. So it's all a learning process. Just get in there, start doing it. You'll learn the ropes, and eventually you'll figure out what works. And that's the other thing too. Figure out what works and what's not working. I don't have that many viewers, and sometimes it does get to me that I don't have that many viewers. I thought I would exponentially grow, but I think everybody who starts off, they think they're going to exponentially grow. They think they're going to get like 2 followers first night, and when they wake up the next morning, they're going to have like 2,000 followers. It doesn't work like that unless you're paying money for advertising to get people to come to your streams, and of course then you have to have content. So Number one rule: Don't wait until everything's perfect. Just go ahead and start doing it. Number 2, get as much content as you can out there and start interacting with your audience. The content you're doing will dictate who's watching your stuff, who's not watching your stuff, and who may want to watch your stuff. The other question was
it's just basic advice.
Okay. So I'm a baby streamer. Like I said, I've said that a couple of times though. So it's all a learning curve for me. Like, and don't be afraid to take risks. That's one of the biggest things. Like, I mean, as long as you're not going out there offending people, like inviting cancel culture, like everybody, no.
That is one of the things. Do not drink or smoke on while streaming. Don't even get yourself into things.
We're not talking about stuff like water and stuff like that, right?
Oh no, we're talking about alcohol and marijuana or other drugs. I mean, keep your stream clean that as much as you can. Because the thing about this is that if you're a person who has anger problems, don't stream at all.
Oh yeah.
Or don't play multiplayer stuff. Play something that's not going to get you to a point where you act out in a manner.
Here's what I say, because sometimes personalities will get you views and stuff like that. But if you know for sure you're a hothead, don't stream live. Record your content. That way you can look back and edit it, because you don't want to be slapped with strike downs and stuff like that, because YouTube has a 3 strikes you're out policy. Twitch technically has a 3 strikes you're out policy too, but Twitch is competing with YouTube, so they're a little more lenient on certain things. But that does not mean that you can get away with hurling obscenities, threatening to rape people's mothers and stuff like that. No, that's not going to fly either.
Swatting and saying racial stuff. No.
Yeah.
No, that's not good.
That's one of the main reasons why I don't play online. I don't play a lot of multiplayer because first of all, I'm not good at those games. So if you see me playing StarCraft or Overwatch, stuff like that, I'm probably the person that's bringing the entire team down. So I'm never going to be good enough to where someone's going to swat me.
Right.
And if I am good enough for someone to think about swatting me, chances are I'm already looking for an esports league to join.
Pretty much. I kind of would say, try to diversify your games if you can. If you want to play one particular game, try just playing games in that genre of things, because like you play Monster Hunter and you play Mass Effect, which are particular. We look at it in general, they're role playing games.
Yeah.
And the execution is different because they're different style of games. But I'm like, you're seeing these kind of role playing game mechanics, and that might that might excite people to give those games a try and stuff. So that's a really good thing, because like me, I continue to do Treasure. I always keep showing Ikaruga out.
I love Ikaruga, but that game does not love me.
You need to play with me then.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Wait. What are you playing it on?
I have it on Xbox, and I have it on Switch. I may have to get it on PlayStation.
Wait, is it on Switch? It's on Switch?
Yeah, it's on Switch.
You have to import it, or is it on US?
You could go buy it right now off the eShop.
Oh.
Nicholas did the port. Nicholas published it.
How much?
It may be $19.99.
That's a little much for that's a little much for the final Dreamcast game. I need to stop. Yes. I need to stop being cheap.
But you probably could find it on. It may be on Windows, because I wonder if it's on.
It is on Windows. Actually, okay. It is.
So, yeah, I know PlayStation sometimes have it like for $10 or for $15.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I don't know if it's online.
Actually, I don't think I need to buy it on Switch, because I don't want to mess up my system.
Okay.
I will get heated. Like I said, I had it on Dreamcast, and man, it was a gorgeous game.
It is.
It was a gorgeous game back then, and it still stands up now. But it's like that game stresses me out once I get to the third stage. It's like all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's your ass. Here, we're heading back to you.
It turns into Battletoads where you're on the bikes and you have your eyes like squint or they phase out. It's just like, which is weird because Atari published it on the GameCube. I'm like, wait, is this the best game that Atari has published? Question mark. Shrug if. So, but yeah, I think. I try to diversify, and if you're going, like I said, if you're going to stay in one kind of genre, then do it. Like, and yeah,
I've actually thought, I was given the advice of finding your niche or whatever, and I'm thinking my niche is like, if you look at my library of games, I have like 1 million games, and that's an exaggeration, but I have a ton of games that I've bought and have played just the intros to, and it's not even that I've moved on because I don't like the games, it's just that something else has come along that's actually gotten my attention more. So I'm thinking of doing something called the Late Gamer series, which basically is me playing games that I've bought and have never beaten, and that might wind up becoming part of my stream because and also I might have nostalgia nights, because we were talking about Saints Row on the last podcast.
Yes.
And I kid you not, like I bought Saints Row 3 and 4. Technically it's 4, but they call it something else. Like, it's not Saints Row 4. But I bought
the DLC for Saints Row 4.
No. Was it Saints Row 4? I thought the fourth Saints Row game was called something else. It wasn't actually called Saints Row 4.
It was called it's Saints Row 4.
Okay.
And then they separated the DLC.
The Get Out of Hell was basically DLC for the game, but they made it a separate game. Kind of like how the infamous Halloween game was technically DLC, but it was a whole game by itself.
Yes.
But yeah, like I've got nostalgia for a whole bunch of games. Like, that's technically why I'm doing my Mass Effect thing. I've got nostalgia for that. Mass Effect is probably one of the greatest sci-fi games that I've ever played across all the consoles, and that says a lot because I'm a Metroid fan. But Mass Effect, I think the reason why Mass Effect resonates with me so much is because Mass Effect just appealed to my Trekkie side. Like, you're basically Shepard. Shepard is basically Jim Kirk and Jack Bauer rolled into one person.
Pretty much, yes. Pretty much, yes. I just got to give you a standing ovation for that one. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and and basically, it's one of those games. BioWare did a very good job of trying to get it to where like your decisions ultimately counted for something. Of course, here's a gamer's opinion about why Mass Effect 3 did not do it for the gaming community the way it was supposed to. And when I say the community, I mean the fan base. Is because you put all this blood, sweat, and tears across 3 whole games to get an outcome a certain way, and then ultimately it was down to pick 3.
Pretty much, yes.
It was down to a pick 3. So everybody felt cheated. But here's the thing about it, and I think the reason why I looked at it differently is because I didn't play the games as they came out over their development cycle. I played them all in one shot when the trilogy came out. So and I didn't even look up. I didn't even know when I started the trilogy. I didn't even know about the fallout behind the ending for Mass Effect 3, the ending that tied up the whole series.
Yeah,
I didn't know about it because once I realized, hey, there's a trilogy coming, they're gonna put all 3 games out at once. I stopped looking at content. I didn't want any spoilers. So I think the reason why I had a better time with the Mass Effect trilogy all the way through its conclusion than the people who were invested for all those years from 2007 till what was it, 2016 when the last game? No. I'm sorry. 2007 was the launch.
Maybe 11 or 12.
Yeah, I started working for my current job now in 2013. So yeah, I think 2012. That's not right then. When did Mass Effect 1 come out? I said 2007, right? Mass Effect 1 had to come out earlier than that.
Because it had to be on the 360, and the 360 came out to, I think, 6.
Mass Effect was 2007. Mass Effect was 2007.
Because I think 2 was 8.
And then... Huh.
Because I think 2 was 8 or 9. 3 was 10 or 11. And then
Mass Effect, Mass Effect 2 came out in 2010. And then
Why did it feel shorter?
Yeah, it feels shorter than, and Mass Effect came out in 2012. Mass Effect 3 came out in 2012. Okay, now I'm remembering correctly because Mass Effect 2 came out on PC and Xbox, and then And then 6 months later they ported Mass Effect 2 for the PS3.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then Mass Effect 3 simultaneously launched for all 3 platforms, in 2012. Yeah. And then if you held out like a year later, the trilogy came out and they put all 3 games in one box. And and this is why I'm sitting here thinking, you know what? With this whole Final Fantasy VII remake thing, I'm thinking I benefited from playing all 3 games at one time in one box. And I'm sitting here thinking, if they're gonna milk this Final Fantasy thing the way it is, I think I might just wait for that one definitive edition that's $60. If it's $60, because the rumor is like PS5 and Xbox Series X games are going to be $70. That's the rumor.
And the thing about the Final Fantasy one is that Xbox is not getting the game to all of next year. Yeah. Like it's locked out of it.
PC has to wait too. Like I think Xbox and PC are getting it at the same time. And you know what though? If Xbox and PC get it on Game Pass though, ooh, you mean tell me I just spent $5 and I just got a $60 game? How do you think I got Streets of Rage? How do you think I got Gears 5?
But I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad.
I don't even own an Xbox.
On Windows 10, that's good. Like they said, Microsoft don't care what platform you whatever you can play it at, they get their money.
That's what it is. They want the saturation. I was explaining to someone about like how Windows 10, like technically you can still get Windows 10 for free, and I'm not even talking about pirating. Like Like there are still ways to get Windows 10 a dedicated license fully activated through Microsoft without spending the $200 price tag for Enterprise and Pro Edition, or the 129. I'm not sure how much, that stat I'm putting out. I can't even remember the numbers when I sell the product as a vendor for my company. But you know what I'm saying, though,
Yes.
Because Microsoft is moving to what's called software as a service. That's why we have Game Pass, because they'd rather have your residual income 24/7 versus just a one-time shot. Because look, I still know people who are on Windows 7, and we all know Windows 7. You're supposed to be off of that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So mainly just diversify your content. Figure out your center. Figure out what you want to do, and don't deviate from it too much. If something you are doing is definitely not getting you viewers, or is actually running viewers away, tweak that. But don't just be fake. Don't just be fake.
Yeah.
I can't fake these crazy, you've seen some of these idiosyncratic people out there that are so animated. For example, Markiplier. I know Markiplier. That is his personality.
Yeah.
I can't fake that. I mean, yeah, I have situations where I get goofy, for example, that whole Safijiva thing in Monster Hunter. Yeah, I was like, what in the, I got goofy. I was like, what is happening? Stuff like that. But it's not something I can keep on 24/7. And I think Kami J also said that too on the other podcast. He's like, yeah, I can't keep that on 24/7.
Yeah. Before we're going, did you see all the thirst that everybody was having for Markiplier when he had his shirt off? He was in the pool.
And you know what? And the sad part is, I was like, I've been knew this.
There's just like, ooh, what thirst?
If I'm not mistaken, he's like half Korean, half Greek or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, shoot, that's like whatever. Because that's a freaking genetic cocktail. I have no business knowing. This is man, your parents made a beautiful baby.
Right. Everybody's like, oh, he's so hot. Oh, he's so sexy. I was just like,
we've been new.
Right. We knew this in. I'm like, look, here's some flavor. I'm just like this.
The problem is they only see Markiplier in little clips when he has crazy blue, pink, and green hair and stuff like that. Right. So that whole persona is throwing them off and stuff like that. It's like have you watched him play Five Nights at Freddy? Shoot, sometimes you see him in just a tank top and it's what's going on in the game?
I was just like, here's some Flavor 8 tropical punch.
Oh wow!
Quench your thirst. Don't get me wrong, Markiplier is hot as ever, but I'm just like you said, we been new. Y'all just now getting thirsty. I'm like,
how long has Markiplier been a thing? He's been a thing for 6-7 years now, and folks he's always looked like that.
Yes.
He used to be mainly a YouTuber, and he used to do the same shock stuff, but not anything as offensive as Shane Dawson and some of those knuckleheads. I just called Shane Dawson a knucklehead because let's face it, anybody with some common sense would know better than some of the stuff he's done. It's just I got back on social media stuff now. Wow, but Here's the other thing, and this also goes to advice for streaming. Don't go out and be offensive just because you think it's funny. Don't do that. The reason why is because it's not because you might offend the wrong person, but it could be that you offend the right person, and all of a sudden legal action comes behind you. Just pay attention to how I said that. You didn't offend the wrong person. You offended the right person. You offended the person who actually had something to lose. So just take that into account. So you can be funny, you can crack jokes and stuff, but if you feel like you may need a filter, it's easier to not live stream it but record it, and then you can go back and review your content before you put it up. That's the best advice. If you want to have longevity, you don't even need to have a million subs or followers and stuff like that. If you want to have longevity, just be genuine. and just set to have a good time. Don't go out there and try and shock people to death. Don't go out there and try to be like the next big thing and just be ungenuine or fake or whatever. And you're basically a caricature of Ninja, or a caricature of who's another big game streamer, or Shroud.
Shroud,
Who's another big one.
At the was it Dr. Doolittle, whatever but he got permanently banned.
Yeah. You know what the sad part is? I didn't know who that was until he got banned.
I knew him because of the E3 thing. I knew about him, but I didn't check his streams and stuff, and I'm just like, no.
Oh, have you heard about all the stuff going on in the fighting in the FGC right now?
Which with Evo or with I know about Evo.
With the people putting their hands on little kids.
That was Evo, right?
Evo was some of it, yeah. But
Evo, I know Evo was with the guy they like who was in a high position. They let him go.
Yeah, they let him go. Yeah.
I think there were some players, but I cannot. I know there was problems in the Smash
community has a problem. The Smash community has a problem right now with I'm not gonna say they're pedophiles, but folks are doing stuff they had no business doing with 14-year-olds.
Okay, see that part I don't know about. I thought it was that people were hitting on other streamers that was at Evo or was doing Smash, and there was like DMs and stuff.
Well, there's always that, because I mean, didn't we just hear some allegations behind Angry Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. And Angry Joe was doing stuff that was, I'm not saying he was based on everything, because I've read 3 different things from 3 different women, and they're all saying it wasn't that he was doing anything that was reprehensible to them, but he was doing things that made them absolutely uncomfortable, like stuff like introducing them at conventions and stuff like they were his girlfriend, stuff like that, just inappropriate stuff,
And the Angry Joe one came out of nowhere, because I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it to the guy from Review Tech USA until he started saying stuff. Yeah. Like the only last thing I know that was a big thing with any kind of YouTuber was Pro Jerry, because that mess was a one life to live, aka one cigarette to smoke, kind of ghetto drop. I was just like, what is going on? And then I guess everybody felt like the truth and stuff came out, but I'm just like, I don't even care. I'm like, first of all, I could understand, when you have marital problems, you have marital problems, and I don't know why everybody brought all their other stuff up so late to get confirmed and stuff. Yeah. That was that. My thing was this: why did you not get a divorce first before you started messing with this other person? Yeah. And it's just like why everybody jumped on you and got suspicious is because you blocked your wife. First of all, I can understand you. What I can't understand is where you're blocking the wife and y'all still live together. And you blocked her before everything came out. Mm-hmm. So everybody is watching the drama unfold and getting their lives, because it's drama, and it's just like you shut down so everything could die down before you said something. But the thing about it is, you brought all of this stuff upon yourself, and you knew that when you are a content creator and you're doing stuff like this, you got to be aware of what you're doing. You just got to. Now, everybody can say anything. Anybody who know me and say, and I'm not perfect neither, but I'm not going to be doing stuff on the level that Pro Jerry and some of these other people do. That's the kind of level of just like, what are you doing?
True. Yeah.
What can I say? Oh, but continue to go ahead. Or should we just be ready to end this?
Actually, I think we said everything. That's the advice I give to new people out there. Definitely, I'm not a pro, but you can definitely ask me questions and things like that. Like I said, hit me up on social media. I'm on Twitter at EXODUS803, XS803, which is also my gamer tag. If you catch me on PlayStation, yeah, that's my gamer tag, so you can actually friend me on that as well. It's also my Xbox ID. As well. So, but like I only play. The only time I see my Xbox ID live is when I'm playing games, like live games on PC.
Yeah, it'll actually show that you're playing on PC in the thing. Which I have to add you. I don't have you on PlayStation, Switch, or Xbox. So.
Actually, yeah, Switch is XS803 too. Yeah, and yeah, my Switch actually does get to air its legs out every now and then. So yeah.
Yeah, had talks it. Right, just saying that.
Yeah.
Good talks.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my Switch will definitely get more. More appeal whenever Nintendo decides to start porting some of the DS games over. Like, I mean, like, hey, I'm waiting for Monster Hunter Stories, or
I love that game for 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love that game. And I kind of, I wanted to work on Generations, and I got to get back to it because I jumped off everything. I was working on Generation, then I touched World, and got stuck back on World.
Just down World, just down World.
I was just like this. Dang it, LeRon is right.
I'm not even bad talking Generations, but the problem is, like, once you get the World, like, you actually have to make a decision at that point, because in the interviews with the Monster Hunter developers, they said Monster Hunter World is the game they've been trying to make since the first game.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know what? If you've been playing the game as long as I have, because I've been playing the game since the first game, it was like it Monster Hunter World. You turn it on, you start learning the real world gameplay of it, and I was like, man, this is what I wanted this entire time. You don't want to be healing yourself out there, and your guy stops middle of the run, he swings his potion, and then does a muscle flex to get his power back. Stuff like that. While the monster is still like trying to like eat you alive and stuff like that. So it's just those once you get used to Monster Hunter World style, you're gonna have a hard time going back to the Legacy series, because I tried it for a while. Like, I bought my Switch, and the first game I bought was Monster Hunter Generations, but I've been knee deep in Monster Hunter World for months. So I got on there and I was like, yeah, I remember how to play, but now I don't want to play. And the only saving grace was like when I bought the game at the time, like the game was on sale for $20 when it's still normally $60. Like, I don't know, it was like I don't know, it was like the stars aligned or something. It was like, oh, LeRon's buying a Switch, let's make sure Monster Hunter's affordable.
Right.
So yeah, so I went looking, and I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna walk out of here. I knew for sure I was getting Bayonetta because I wanted Bayonetta 2.
Oh, I love Bayonetta 2.
Yeah. So as a matter of fact, and that way I would have got 2 games, one purchase. So I was already ahead of the curve. I'm like, I'm gonna spend $60 for a game. I'm gonna get 2 games. Even though I already had Bayonetta for PS3 and I have it for PC. That's another problem I have. I will buy a game multiple times. Like, you don't even want to know how many times.
I already told you that I own Monster Hunter World on Xbox and PS4.
No. You don't understand. Do you know how many times I bought Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Alpha 3? Let's think about this. Street Fighter Alpha 2 came out on PS1.
Bought that word. Yep, bought that.
Then it came out on Sega Saturn. Then it came out on Sega Dreamcast. Then it came out on PS2. Then it came out in a collection on PS3.
Yes.
That's just Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Wait.
That's
Street
Fighter Alpha. That's a Street Alpha 2. Alpha 3 came out on Dreamcast. Did it come out?
Yeah.
Did it come out? It came out on PS1. It came out on PS1 also.
Yes.
It came out. It basically did the same. It did the same tour. PS1, Saturn, Dreamcast.
Right, because
collection.
because I did Alpha I think I did Alpha 2 on PlayStation 1, but I did Alpha 3 on Dreamcast, and then I did Street Fighter Third Strike on
On
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, yeah. As a matter of fact,
I love
my
Third
friends
Strike.
my friends just call me Capcom because during the PS1 days of video games, every Capcom game that came out, if it was a fighting game like Rival Schools, Street Fighter, it didn't matter. I was buying it. Because Capcom could do no wrong back then with their fighting games. To me, I'm not saying everybody else felt the same way, but to me, it was an honor and a privilege to be able to spend money on any of the Street Fighter games or any of the other universe games and stuff like that. Resident Evils. Let me see. I didn't buy that many versions of the first Resident Evil game, but I did buy multiple versions of Resident Evil 2 because Resident Evil 2 was my favorite game back at the time.
I beat Resident Evil 2 renting it on the N64.
I beat Resident Evil 2 on the PS1, and then I got the re-release of it when they released the DualShock edition.
Mm-hmm.
I got the re-release of it, and then I got it again. I didn't get the Nintendo 64 one because there was no way I was spending $80 for a cartridge.
Oh, I spent $2 on it because it was called Monday Rental at our local rental store, and it was $2 on a Monday for three days, and I beat Resident Evil 2 within those 3 days.
And then I bought it again on Dreamcast. And then
See, my Resident Evil journey is weird because I did the original Resident Evil 1 when it had the big cardboard box at Montgomery Ward.
Yeah.
When they were selling, I was 17.
I had that.
To buy in Renegade.
And by the way, what was Sony thinking with those big freaking cases back then?
Oh, I have not one idea. Not one.
Shoot,
literally not one.
Shoot, nowadays you're lucky if you can get a disc.
Exactly. So I beat RE1 on PlayStation, beat RE2 on N64, beat RE3 on Dreamcast, beat Resident Evil 4 on GameCube, beat Resident Evil 5 on PS3. I own Resident Evil 6 on Xbox One because I never beat it yet. I have 7 on Xbox, and I have RE2 and 3 remake on Xbox One, which I need to get into and finish.
I've got the RE2 remakes on PC. As a matter of fact, you saw me playing the Resident Evil 3. Like, did you see me? I played it in chapter. I played it in acts. Like Act 1 was the beginning of the game until you switched with Carlos. Act 2 was Carlos and the whole situation with the hospital. And Act 3 is when after Carlos cures Jill, and that's the finish of the game. So technically, I did those 3 acts in 3 days. 3 days worth of streaming time. So across 3 different days, and I recorded all the content too, because I was going to be doing my own retrospective of it because I feel like the community are mad at the Resident Evil 3 remake for all the wrong reasons. They're upset because of content's missing, like the clock tower and the cemetery. But here's my thing about it. Y'all really want to fight that damn worm?
No, I don't. No.
Y'all really want to fight that damn worm? Not once, but 3 times. Y'all really want to fight that thing?
No.
The clock tower. Well, okay. Here's my thing. Okay, so technically, the situation that happened to Jill in the clock tower in the original game, technically it happened to her when she fought him in the bus depot.
Yes.
She still got infected. Let me ask you, which one was the better fight, in my opinion? In your opinion, it wasn't the clock tower fight. It was the fight where Nemesis was like hunting you down like a dog in that arena.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like and I feel like people were just mad at the game. Now I do believe that there were some things because I followed the development history of Resident Evil 2 and 3. I feel like they didn't admit this, but I feel like they were trying to make a master suite, Resident Evil 2 and 3, because the events of Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 2 intertwine. Like okay, we play Resident Evil 2 first, but Resident Evil 2 takes place in the middle of Jill's trying to escape of Raccoon City. So her adventure technically starts first, and then Leon and Claire show up.
I thought both of them was running at the same time.
They are concurrent. They are concurrent actually. But Jill's actually started first because you got to remember the Raccoon City was already out of control when Leon and Claire showed up.
when
Like,
they destroyed the mansion.
no. You're no. Okay.
No.
Resident Evil 2, when Leon and Claire were coming into town,
Oh, okay.
the outbreak had already happened. And it wasn't until Resident Evil 3 came out that we find out that Jill had been trying to escape the city 2 days prior to the situation in the police station.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, which is, so basically when you look at the information for development for all those games, it actually seems like it actually seems like what they were trying to do was create a master collection that would have been basically like Resident Evil Chronicles, Resident Evil 2 and 3 Chronicles, where you would play both of the games in the same series, at once. It would bounce you from Chris to Leon to Carlos to Claire, back to Jill. Did I say Chris? I meant Jill. The game would start with Jill. Eventually it would get to a point where you switch to Carlos, and then eventually you get to a point because remember, Carlos starts and they see Brad as a zombie before they get into the police station, and Marvin just got bit. And then Leon is supposed to show up, and Marvin is in the process of being transformed, but he's still yeah. So okay. You see, so yeah, it all makes sense when you look at it. But the problem is that Capcom was probably looking. They're probably trying to because we all got to think about how companies make their profits and stuff like that. Resident Evil 2 was more complete than Resident Evil 3 was, so the two games got separated, and that's how that worked. Okay. And then it got to a point where they were like, because I think they kind of backed themselves into a corner. They thought that Resident Evil 3's development was going to be ready when it was, because remember, it was like we just put Resident Evil 2 down. They announced Resident Evil 3.
But then they released Code. Did Code Veronica come out before Resident Evil 3?
No. Wait. Are you talking about back then?
Oh no. So Resident Evil 3, I think, followed after 2. Code Veronica came to Dreamcast, but then they also ported Resident Evil 3 to Dreamcast. Yeah. That's why. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna get back on making my retrospective. I just gotta write a script and start recording voiceover. But I think I'm going to do my retrospective on Resident Evil 3 because I want to talk about it, because Resident Evil 3 is one of my favorite Resident Evil games from the old school days. And in all honesty, Resident Evil 3 Remake did nothing wrong for me. It didn't. I don't miss the clock tower scene. I sure as hell don't miss the Gravedigger. And the other thing that people were complaining about on Resident Evil 3 is you remember the choose your own adventure sections where, like, sometimes, like, for example, when you first met Nemesis.
Yeah.
And it was like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna fight the monster? Or are you gonna escape? Stuff like that. I'm sorry, people mad because that stuff is gone. That disrupted the flow of the game. Resident Evil 3. These remakes of Resident Evil 3 made them more action oriented and stuff like that, and keeping that into Resident Evil 3 would have disrupted the flow of the game, in my honest opinion, because it would have gave you a chance to exhale for a second, and you want to keep the action up, So, like, in the Resident Evil 3 remake, when Nemesis is chasing you, that feels like a big deal, because that sucker, he hits you twice, you're dead.
Yeah, the Nemesis in RE3 remake. Don't play around.
He's smarter. He's faster. He's definitely stronger, especially when he starts mutating. He's definitely stronger.
Yeah.
And you're not safe in the safe rooms. Like, he will bust into some of the safe rooms.
Yeah. So yes.
Yeah, but it's another thing where I feel like gamers are just too entitled. Like, they want Resident Evil 3, but they want Resident Evil 3 their way.
Well, everybody will have Resident Evil Village whenever they decide to release it.
Hey, but you know what? That's a new game. Like, they won't have any expectations because they won't know what to expect. All they will know to expect is that Chris is in it, and then it's first person shooter.
I'll just gotta get ready for it. But everybody, that is going to be our 1v1. You guys can find me on Twitter at @RetroCode. You can check out more Boss Rush content at bossrushgames.com and on our YouTube channel. LeRon, thank you for coming on. nerding out with me,
Hey,
just having these.
I was glad to be here. I was glad to be here. Thanks, thanks for the invite again. I feel like eventually I might become part of the family or something.
We're not.
Oh, and special shout to Corey. Thanks for the special shout out he gave on Twitter for content creators, and I think it was actually content creators of color.
Yeah.
Thanks for that shout out. Like man, it was crazy. Like, oh, I got tagged in something. Oh, I got tagged in something big. Thank you for that, Corey.
But everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. As always, let's continue to play video games and be better to one another. With that, we will see you next time on 1v1. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.
So
and I'm going to mute my phone. Well, not mute my phone, but put it on vibrate.
Because you don't need to be hearing my wacky ringtones.
Which is your ringtone?
It's actually before Samsung changed how they did everything, I typically just took various tracks from video game soundtracks and stuff and clipped them and turned them into ringtones.
Yes.
And I love music games. I can't tell you the amount of music games I played throughout the ages.
I'm so happy to hear this. Come on, let's talk about it. Even before we start the show, I was already recording, so I want to hear this because I'm happy now.
Yeah, so I was using so my ringtone is actually from DJ Max Technica. It's what's the name of the song is called Signalize. It's one of my favorite tracks, and on the PS Vita version, that was the first version I heard it on. Uh-huh. You actually had to unlock that song. It wasn't just one of the songs that was naturally on the playlist when you first started it up. Where notifications sound? Here we go. Ringtone. Yeah, Signalize. Yep. As a matter of fact, I don't know. Like, it may sound really bad over here, but or it might not play at all because phone's on vibrate. Let's try that again.
Oh, LeRon, I can't hear you.
How about now?
Go ahead, speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Looks like when I was adjusting my microphone just now, I partially unplugged it.
Oh.
So I think what I need to do is I need to redo how my cable is so that doesn't happen in the future.
I was turning my thing. I'm like, did this thing?
No, that was me, which is ridiculous because the IT guy is supposed to be on top of this stuff. Where did I blank out at?
You blanked out. You was playing the music and then it blanked out and then you started speaking. I couldn't finish the song.
Okay, well, just to follow up on that, like after I stopped the song, I was just saying that if you go through my ringtones on my phone, it's basically stuff that I added in from various different video game soundtracks. I've got stuff from Tekken Tag Tournament, and Tekken 7 on there. I've got DJ Max. I've got a few songs from Beatmania 2DX, and I even have a couple of tracks from one of my favorite PS1 games, a game called Einhander.
Square Enix, Squaresoft, the shoot 'em up. That game was hard as ever.
It was. You know what? I will go ahead and make the confession right now. I can never beat that game straight. I had to use a Game Shark to beat that game.
I couldn't get past the first level, and it was just I don't know why it was so difficult.
Wait, you couldn't get past the first level?
No.
I could get okay. That game had 7 stages. If I'm not mistaken, let me see. Stage 1 was a city, and I got through the subsection of that to the boss. Stage 2 was a train was a train area. I got past all that. This is without a game assist. Stage 3. Stage 3, I cannot remember. Stage 3, you started going underground. And that's when I started getting my behind handed to me. But if I was really lucky and fortunate, I could make it to stage 4, which stage 4 was like another city area, and it was like they threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at you at that point.
It's so weird because it was, I think, to me personally, was one of Squaresoft's first non-RPG game that I could remember.
It was one of the few. Yeah. Well, actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was the only game of that genre that Square has ever done. If I'm not mistaken,
they did a race. I think they did Rad Racer for Super Nintendo.
Okay.
No, for NES.
Wow, that far back?
Yeah. Squaresoft did some different games before Final Fantasy, and Rad Racer
I do remember that because actually the history of Final Fantasy is the reason why it's called Final Fantasy is because that was really like Square's last hurrah. Nothing they had done had gotten any popularity or any notoriety, and it was getting to the point where the investors were going to pull out. So Final Fantasy comes out, and they jokingly named it Final Fantasy because it would be the final game that they ever released, and they didn't have a specific name, so it's just a fantasy title, so Final Fantasy. And look at it now, there's like what, 15 numbered games, but
15 numbered games. 2 of them are online. Tactics.
Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite Final Fantasy game. Period.
And I never got to play the original PS one.
Oh, you know what? Well, if you play the PSP version, you got the better experience, except for that horrible game lag when you're casting spells. That's the only thing. And the tech geek in me, like I found a way to fix that through with using emulators on the PC.
Nice. I will say Saga Frontier though is garbage.
You know
I'm
what?
Sorry, Square Enix.
Okay.
That game is
the US, the first one that we got in the US was definitely garbage, but the Saga Frontier series before it came over here was actually an amazing series. I remember spending $100 and some odd to port a Super NES cartridge. I remember that.
That PS1 one was.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to drink every liquor that was at a bar to forget that game. I was just like, this is difficult. It really doesn't tell you what you need to do, and it was like you really couldn't grind or anything.
That was the terrible part about that first one for the PS1. Like it was like they just dumped it out there thinking that us weeaboos in the States we're gonna know how to play it. Yes. Even though like it was already like I want to say it was like 4 games deep over in Japan.
I believe probably so, because I think was Saga Frontier the first one here.
The first one on PlayStation was the first one we'd ever seen over here in the States. There was no Super NES ones over here in the States.
Because we had Secret of Mana, we had Chrono Trigger, we had Dragon Quest, and I don't even think Dragon Quest came to Super Nintendo at all.
I think Chrono Trigger is probably one of the games that helped make Square a more household. Like, I mean, because Final Fantasy was so niche back then that like only hardcore JRPG players were going to play a game like Final Fantasy, especially by the time, let's see, Final Fantasy 3. So we had Final Fantasy 1 and 2. Well, we had Final Fantasy 1 that was on what, the NES?
Yes.
And then we had 2 and 3, which were on the Super NES, but 3 was the one that gained a little bit of momentum here in the States. Which that was Final Fantasy 6, of course, which is probably I haven't played Final Fantasy 7 remake yet, but I still say to this day that Final Fantasy 6 is probably my favorite of the classic Final Fantasy games. And I love 7. My problem with 7 is I played 7 to death when it was brand new. I'm one of those people that actually put like the 9,999 plus hours into it, trying to get doubles of the materia and get one double of the master materia, because you can double every other materia like multiple times, but you can only get one double of the master materia.
Final Fantasy 7 was a period that it was a period that for me I was just like, okay, yes, this is the new level of traditional RPGs, even though the N64 had Ocarina of Time, which kind of was a new level of action RPGs, but it was it for 3D games in. Yes, I know. Me and you had this conversation about Nintendo, but it was just like, I think Super Mario 64 and Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, and the Waybird kind of was the future of how we look at modern games.
That is true. As a matter of fact, Super Mario 64, in my opinion, is like the new grandfather of platform gaming, because Mario 64 did something that no other platforming game before then had done before. And it actually changed the landscape to make it seem like the world was all around you versus to the left and to the right or up and down.
Yes.
And that's the one thing I will say. As a matter of fact, Super Mario 64 is one of those games that, I kind of wish they would remaster it, but not just remaster it, like build it from the ground up. Give it the not maybe the Super Mario Odyssey treatment, but give it the Super Mario Galaxy treatment.
Yes.
Yeah, modernize it on that engine, because Odyssey is that's a whole nother world, and even though Odyssey is technically the continuation of the Galaxy series, but going back to Mario 64, that is one of my favorite. That is probably my favorite Mario title, besides Mario 2, and I'm talking about the one that we got over here on the NES, not the one that was like the lost levels that we got.
Yes.
I actually like that one, but when they did the Game Boy Advance remix of those, that's when those games got their identity. But Mario 64, that's the one that kind of resonates with me the most, because they took a lot of chances on that one. They took a lot of chances. They pulled everybody out of their comfort zone. Oh, it's not just gonna be running, jumping, and stomping on turtles and mushrooms and stuff. Now you're gonna actually be grabbing. You're gonna be grabbing Bowser by the tail and swinging him around. You're gonna be riding on shells down hills and like sniping everybody and things like that. You're gonna be shooting things out of cannons and stuff like that. And that was fundamentally, if you look at it, that was definitely Super Mario. That was all the elements of Super Mario, but it was just a whole new interpretation of how you did things in Mario Land.
Yes, and like the analog stick, and that's why I think, like Corey and Jesse was talking, I was just like, that's why I give it to Halo for doing analog sticks for consoles, for first person shooters. That will always be, that in the online will always be a staple because of Halo.
Yes,
for consoles. Ocarina of Time, of course, with 3D action and the lock-on system and everything, it's just like you see this now in modern games still.
I gotta tell you something right now. I think the worst thing they did to Legend of Zelda was when they put it into that 64-esque landscape. I did not have the best time like adjusting to that, which is weird, because I love Link to the Past. So basically, when Zelda became like the post 64 era, and then you had the Game Boy Advance and DS era, I was all about the Game Boy Advance and DS side, because it still felt like classic nostalgia, even though they made improvements on that. Like Four Swords Adventures on the not Four Swords Adventures. What was the one on GameCube? The one on GameCube where you had to do multiplayer. It was cooperative, but it played just like A Link to the Past.
Oh, I think it was Four Swords.
Was it Four Swords Adventures?
It was just called Four Swords.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Legend of Zelda Four Swords. Yeah, because A Link to the Past Four Swords was their experiment. They're like we're gonna make this new Zelda game, but we're not sure how we're gonna do it, so we're just gonna completely remaster A Link to the Past, which works because that is. There's something about the Super NES era of games. That's why I'm so upset that the Game Boy Advance or the 3DS never got a port I'm not a port. I'm sorry. Never got a re-release of Super Metroid. Nintendo hurt my heart on that one because. Oh, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say. Say what you're gonna say.
I would tell you why, that they didn't do it. Because after Super Metroid was finished, a lot of people, and I think maybe even Nintendo, thought the Metroid series was done because everything was concluded after Super Metroid.
You know, I can get that. I can get that.
But GameCube came along, and I think Nintendo was just like. I think Nintendo probably been researching the comments. It was just like, we need to do something with Metroid because no one. I'm like,
so they came out with the prequel sequels that were Prime,
and that was the really thing about it. Everybody was just like, can Nintendo themselves do a first person shooter?
Well, technically, Nintendo didn't though.
Right. So Nintendo had to get right, and the thing about a lot of people don't understand is Japanese players are not big on first person shooters.
That's the truth. Yes,
because I think was it Dirge Cerberus?
Dirge Cerberus, yeah, for the Final Fantasy one, yeah.
Yes, that was a mess of a first person shooter game from Japan. And so I guess Nintendo was just like, let's not take those steps and let's give it to someone, or let's hire a company that we can create, or
which was Retro Studio, right?
Retro. Yeah. Yes. And so they took the Metroid franchise, still made it Metroid, but still give this Western feel to it, where it's a first person shooter, but it's not the traditional first person shooter.
Okay, here's what I know, because like me and Metroid Prime, it's like a love story with me and Metroid. Metroid. Because I think I even said this in the podcast we did a couple of weeks ago, the Pride podcast. Yeah. Metroid is one of those ones that it helps cement my DNA as a writer. It was something about Metroid. If you were to give a current young gamer, like let's say we toss a Metroid cartridge and the NES controller in their hand and say, play this game, is the most bare bones game by today's standards that you could ever play. But back then, I remember being a 13-year-old kid playing that game and using every ounce of my imagination and just seeing something completely different than what was just on that screen with the lady with the slippery mechanics and the cannon arm, running around, jumping over everything, and trying not to get hit, because like you shoot until you got your first energy tank, you could technically get one shot in that game.
Yeah.
And it was something about it. It was basically a cavern exploring game, and if it wasn't for all the backtracking stuff, I think the average person, without using any type of the bugs and the glitches and stuff, could still beat that game in under 90 minutes.
Which is funny, because the thing about it is, Kid Icarus followed the same design. Yes.
I think Kid Icarus was first, wasn't it?
Metroid was first.
Metroid was first. Okay.
Kid Icarus, because Kid Icarus had it where it jumped from level to level, because it was, you go up vertically.
Yeah, you go up vertically.
Get into where you need to do, and then it's the palace, and then it's the Metroid kind of stuff, and then it goes back vertically, palace stuff, and you had to pay to get your eggplant off.
Yes.
And there's nothing that explains anything about Kid Icarus, but you can figure that game out easier than you can with Metroid, because I hated that demon thing, like when you hit it and then like
yeah.
That's every time I hear that, I'm like, it is funny because that music is beautiful, but it resonates. That it's connected to that, and you can't get away from it.
Right? Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah. Here's the one thing I will say: the NES definitely did everything to supercharge our imaginations. If you had an ounce of creativity in your brain, your imagination just ran anytime you played any of the NES games, especially some of the more bare bones NES games. It did. That's why I owe it to Metroid and Star Trek are why I'm a sci-fi writer.
Nice, nice. Okay, I will say Goonies
Oh,
2.
and
Oh,
Robotech.
see, okay, okay, before we get into our 1v1, let's talk a little bit about Robotech. I have not seen the series because I don't know if am I supposed to watch Robotech or am I supposed to watch Macross?
Here's
I'm
here's the thing about
confused.
okay. So I saw Robotech long before I ever learned about this thing called Macross. But here's my feelings about it. As a Robotech fan that learned about Macross and eventually saw Macross, Super Dimension Century Macross. That's the name of the
Mhm.
series. Robotech was a great way of mashing up three different series to make one epic show. Now there was Robotech was the 35 episodes of the Macross storyline. There's 36 episodes of Robotech, but that's because technically one episode was like a clip episode.
Yes.
Uh, but they did a little bit of hocus pocus in it because there's actually some footage from the second series that they snuck into it, but they cut it up in such a way that it felt like it was part of Macross. So that was genius. But here's what I would say. Here's what I would say for you. Watch Robotech, the Macross saga, so the first 36 episodes.
Yes.
And then turn around and watch Super Dimension Century Macross.
Okay.
Watch that, and if you can, watch the English dub of it. I'm not saying anything bad about the Japanese dub, but the reason why I'm saying watch the English dub of Macross is because you will notice how they tried their best with Robotech to try and like keep most of the original dialogue intact. It's uncanny because back then in that day and age they weren't trying to really preserve the dialogue that much. But there were certain things you're like, okay, well, we want to put Robotech on for Saturday morning viewing, so we have to change some things around. We will keep the violence in there, and we will try to keep the dialogue on track, but there's going to be some parts where we have to try to be kid friendly. But they were not afraid of killing people, of talking about death and all that stuff, pregnancies and all that stuff. They didn't talk about needing the super heavy stuff, but I remember being a kid and like watching Robotech and I'm like, cool, this is like if G.I. Joe meets Transformers, and like, whoa, they're killing everybody. Whoa. People are actually dying.
and I think they've probably continued the series where you was at, because they canceled it for us, because I think we had it on Fox TV at 6 o'clock in the morning, and so I missed it because I was still asleep, and at 6:30 I had to get up and get ready to go to school. So every time I got up and to watch it or look at it, it was just like the credits was rolling. But I knew that they were playing it in syndication.
It was so niche back then because Robotech premiered in the States in 1985, and my family was in Germany at the time, so we actually got the complete airing of the Macross saga. We got the complete, and it's crazy too because somewhere out there's a pilot because they chopped up the one movie called it was Attack of the Bionoids, which was another Macross movie. They chopped that up and made it a pilot. I remember seeing this. People are going to think I'm crazy, but I remember seeing this, and I remember seeing some stuff that like eventually was shown in Macross saga, but at the same time it was some completely different stuff. But we were in Germany at the time. We got the first 36 episodes, and they played the preview for the first episode of the Southern Cross series, and then the show started over from the beginning. So it started over from the very first episode of Robotech again, and like we were like, okay, so I guess they're not ready for the new season yet, and then the 36 episodes aired one more time, and that was it. And I was 12 years old at the time. I was 12 years old at the time, and I just happened to be in a bookstore when they were doing their second run of it, and I noticed that the bookstore had every Robotech book that I was familiar with, and then they had the stuff for the Southern Cross. So I had to make a decision right there. I was like, do I read the books and see what's coming up or whatnot? But then when there was no more Robotech being shown on TV, I was like, I got to read the books. So I started reading the books, and here's the crazy part about that, because Robotech as a whole, when you combine the three different series that technically were not related to each other, It's actually 85 episodes total. 85 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and they tell a good story, but the Southern Cross series is the weakest of the three series, because you've got Macross Saga, you've got Southern Cross, and then you've got the New Generation, which has the Envid, the giant purple crab looking mecha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The books not only translated it, but they also made things make more. They added enough dialogue to make things make sense that the TV series did not get. That's for when it came to stuff, it talked about, like, okay, the giant aliens, the Zentradi.
Yes.
They're a warrior class, and they knew there was genders, male and females, but they didn't know what the genders did. The books do a better job of fleshing that out. The books also talked about why the Zentradi didn't have sex. It wasn't just because they didn't know any better. There was like dictates, something in their racial history that said this does not happen. Stuff like that.
Wow.
And yeah. So Robotech, let me see, 6 books, 3 books. So it was 12 books for the original 85 episode run, and then they did 5 additional books. They did 5 additional books to talk about what was going on with the people that we met in Macross Saga.
Yes.
What happened to them? Because they wound up going out into space and finding the people that created the Zentradi. And a whole new war jumps off on that one. They did 5 books for that. So that's 17 books. Then they created an 18th book, and that 18th book closed off the entire story. It ended
the epilogue.
It gave it a proper ending, and the author's name of the entire book series was Jack McKinney, but it was actually two people that collaborated.
Yeah.
One of them was the lead writer on it. So he was the one that did all the translations of what we saw on the shows and made that, printable, and
Yes.
There was another guy, he was the consultant for the people who actually did the translations and the dubbing to help flesh out more of the dialogue and the story. So, man, an 18-book saga, which somehow, some way they squeezed 4 more books in, because they had in-betweener books that were like filler between like the 3 different wars. It's phenomenal.
Oh, wow.
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd.
No, because I think, didn't Macross get a? No, I know Evangelion.
Evangelion. Oh,
I did not. I wanted to throw a shoe through my TV. I hate that main character and his whining.
Shinji?
I literally, because I saw it on public access here, so I was watching the
They were playing Evangelion on public access.
That's how I found out about that.
Man,
that's how.
What was I? Because I didn't get my first. I think everybody got their first taste of Neon Genesis Evangelion at the same time. But man, like, they're playing on public access. I was in the Navy at the time, so I was out to sea.
So in my area in North Chicago, it was Cowboy Bebop. That's how I show it. So I went Rama Half, Evangelion. There was this one of the Tenchi movies I saw.
You probably saw Tenchi in Love.
Probably so.
Was it the one where they went back in time to Tokyo and his young mother? Yeah, Tenchi in Love. Yes. That was actually one that a lot of people saw before they ever knew anything about Tenchi Muyo, and it actually got Americans into Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah. Ninja Scroll I seen.
Basically saw all the manga, the manga production stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. There was
and all this was before Dragon Ball even thought about coming to the United States.
Exactly. Which they actually showed. I knew about Dragon Ball because they showed one of the movies first before Dragon Ball came out on public access.
It had to be Tree of Might. It had to be.
It probably was. It was Echo something.
Project Echo.
I seen that on public access and I love that. There was one.
What about the Dirty Pair? You don't know anything about the Dirty Pair?
Dirty Pair, was that the 2 girls? Oh,
Yeah, like their boobs are always popping out all over. Well, not not
No,
not out, but their boobs were like always like prevalent. They
I
were
I
they were
know
like
what.
secret agents.
Yeah, I know a dirty pair, but no, they didn't show it. They showed the cop that was screwing everybody. The
The
big
cop.
muscle cop. He was having sex with all these women.
What is that one?
It's a police something. He was a police cop, and he'll go in and like he was this big buff guy due to danger, and
What?
then you would catch him like uh they would bust down the door, and the girl that he saved he was having sex with.
He gets-
I gotta find this anime,
he-
and I have to send you the name.
wow. He be
Because
getting he be busting perps and getting his scrump on. Oh my god.
yes. And here I am as a kid, just like I love anime. I enjoy that. I was seeing everything anime wise before
Yeah.
it became in rotation. Because like we only have Robotech, pretty much here. It didn't come to what was the Ninja Warriors one with the five guys?
Running Warriors.
Running Warriors.
Running Warriors was that 4 or 5?
It was five.
Oh, it's 5. Okay.
I think it was five. Yeah, because Running Warriors they showed on also on Fox before Cartoon Network got it.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. I'm trying to think some of the going back to Robotech real fast. What back then, what I didn't know about Robotech, because I knew Robotech was Japanese anime, but I didn't know it was a mishmash of 3 different series put into one.
I didn't either.
So I remember we came back to the States. And I saw like a promo reel for another Macross series, and I saw the SDF one, and I started flipping out because I was like, "What did they repair it? What's going on here?" Didn't know at the time that it was a new Macross series from Japan. I did not know that. So yeah, Macross is a big deal over there. As a matter of fact, Macross is as big a deal as Gundam is over there, which is crazy
Yeah.
because as many Gundam series as there was not that many Macross series. But my next true taste of Macross happened again after I joined the military, and I got to see it was OAV. It was a 4-part OAV called Macross Plus.
Heard of it, never got to see in it.
Macross Plus is amazing, and it was also
crazy for that.
Yeah, it was also the first time I'd gotten a taste of Yoko Kanno's music.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know he did the music there.
She did, and you gotta think Yoko Kanno. Macross Plus was only 4 episodes. I think because they created what was called a complete edition of it. Like over in Japan, they released a Blu-ray of it, and I think the whole runtime is just a little over 2 hours. All 4 episodes, just over 2 hours.
Because they was 30 minutes each.
A little bit more than that. Like one episode.
Really?
Yeah, they're like 50 minute episodes.
Oh,
Actually, so actually maybe it's more than that. Maybe my time is skewed. I'll have to look it up. But the music in Macross Plus was so tight. That was the first anime series I ever went out and actually bought the soundtracks for. And then a couple years later, I hear I'm watching Cowboy Bebop, and I'm like, this music sounds so familiar. And then watch some ending credits. Music composition, Yoko Kanno. and then if it couldn't get any better, then my favorite new age anime series she did all the music for, Ghost in the Shell.
Is that Sega Complex?
Standalone Complex.
Standalone.
She did the entire soundtrack series for Standalone Complex 1 and 2 and the final movie.
What? Standalone Complex, the first one is good.
Yeah.
I stayed up on Cartoon Network, watched it. I may have to go to Best Buy.
Man, when it was on at 12:30 at night.
Yes. I had my snacks. I made sure, and I stayed up to watch because it's just so like the animation. I was just like, this is too good to be TV animation.
Yeah. Well, that's Studio IG though. Like these are the same people who did Evangelion.
Well, then maybe it did
actually, it's the same. It's the same studio, not the same artist, because the artists, the groups that are doing they're doing the translation of the Masamune Shiro stuff. So Ghost in the Shell, Appleseed, Dominion Tank Police, Black Magic M66. Those guys, they know Masamune Shiro's style inside and out. So when you see that design, you know it's Masamune Shiro right off the bat. So, but yeah, man, the heyday of anime for me was basically Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Outlaw Star, Standalone Complex. What's some other? Those like the big ones.
Those are the big ones. Akira was mine. Shinji, what was the one that was in the city with the Demon City?
Demon City Shinjuku.
Shinjuku, I seen.
Of course, Vampire Hunter D.
I kept falling asleep on Vampire Hunter D.
It has pacing issues.
Yes. The one with who pushes people in the head and it blows up.
Fist of the North Star.
Fist of the North Star.
That was the most mega violent movie back then that kids that age could watch.
I seen it and I was just like, this is it's just and it was like basic anime. I guess I was just used to it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
I remember my parents being a little squeamish when they were seeing all the violence in that one, and here's my little 11-year-old behind soaking it up.
Yeah. It was the 4 shorts that I got to see. Because one of them was like a circus clown or a circus thing. It was a really popular anime. It was like 4 shorts and stuff. And I think they used to show it before Akira did. I had to look that up.
I'm not recognizing that one.
I know when I got my DVD player, and you might have seen this on my Twitter page. I was just like, I gotta revisit Metropolis.
Oh, wow, that's one of those ones I've never actually seen it all the way through, but that was a masterpiece because isn't Metropolis the same people that did what was that the Steam thing, the Steam one, crap, because Patrick Stewart was a voice actor for the English dub of that one.
Was it the
Steam Boy? Was it actually called Steam Boy? I think it was called Steam Boy.
I think it was Steam Boy.
Yeah,
because they did a movie for that.
Aren't they the same group that did Metropolis?
The
art style is the art style is very similar.
Metropolis is because of Astro Boy, from the creator of Astro Boy.
Oh, so, okay. Then I'm getting some things confused then.
Yeah, because Metropolis, the person who made what's his name? He was gonna do Metropolis back in the 80s or something, but they didn't have the budget and he ended up passing away. So they went up like when I think early 2005, 2006, they went and did Metropolis because it has his style for it.
Okay.
And I didn't know that it was based off his manga, and it was different. It was different from the movie, but yeah, I'm thinking of doing an optional opinion about that and just revisit because it's just like it's been years since I've seen this movie.
That's ultimately something I'm gonna think about doing with my my YouTube channel soon. I'm gonna start because I'm getting better with like editing and chopping videos and stuff. So I'm probably gonna eventually start doing reviews for a lot of stuff. And I definitely want to visit some of my anime favorites and things like that. While you were talking about Metropolis, though, there was another one that jumped in my mind. There was another anime that jumped in my mind that I wanted to mention it, and I've forgotten.
There was a steampunk one, but was that 2008, 2009? It had new animation. It wasn't anything older, but I remember renting it and I could not think of it. I think it was steampunk or something like that.
It's escaping me right now. I don't want to jump on a browser and start looking it up because you know how the rabbit hole of Google will get you.
Yes, we still haven't recorded the show yet.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
No, but go ahead.
Hopefully we got a whole bunch of pre-real stuff though.
Yes.
Shoot. I'm trying to. There was one other anime series that it was in my brain while you were talking about Metropolis, and now I cannot remember it.
Was it like a robot one?
Yes.
kind of like a Power Rangers one?
No. Oh, you know, I've never been a fan of the Sentai anime series. I've never been a fan of them.
Wasn't it something not Trade Express 999, which I need to watch because that's the same animators who did Daft Punk album.
Oh yeah.
And I got all my In America right in my closet. I literally, when I bought my DVD player, that's when I jumped into
Interstellar 5555. That was the Daft Punk. That was the entire Daft Punk Discovery album.
Yes.
Which I love it. I had to scour the internet to find and download for it. I had for the actual anime, not the because I have all the Daft Punk albums up until Tron. Because I didn't really like their latest one, their last one, random something.
I Daft Punk was still making music. They were like after Tron, they literally went low key. Like I didn't.
No, they made the album because remember they had the song with Pharrell, "Get Lucky." There was an album with that single.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't really a fan of it. You know, I mean, I understand like their style evolved and stuff, but I wasn't really a fan. Modern music is having a hard time selling me, which is why typically like I just like house music and like, you know, the good old fashioned EDM stuff, you know. And you know, it's not that I hate change. I love when things change and evolve and stuff like that, but sometimes you kind of know how you expect something from a certain outfit and it's not what they deliver to you, and it just takes you a while. It's still taking me a while to get with that latest Daft Punk album. I'm not saying it's bad. It just didn't move me. Just like nothing Lady Gaga has done has moved me.
Which is funny because Lady Gaga's album, and like I said, this is 90s house music because you probably have it's this Chicago's 90s house music. Is different than anything anywhere. And like I was of course listening to the radio, my sister, because Chicago radio stations was playing it like at 5:00 or at night. And when I started buying house music, I didn't know the difference between ghetto house and hard house. But then I started hearing, I'm just like, okay, this is ghetto house. This is the bang you in the hotel. Come on, trick, let's get down. Eve and all of this crazy nonsense stuff.
Ghetto house music basically became Atlanta booty music, basically.
Yes. And then because definitely with ghetto house music in Chicago, they would take like rap music and put a 4/4 drum beat to it. Because I told my sister I was so because I work at Walgreens, I was driving in a white neighborhood. So of course I'm coming here from the hood, and so I was just like, you know what, let me play a ghetto house mix. And so I'm, you know, was begging hoes and hit her in the head. Come on, and then it's just like
That's eventually how we got the trap.
Pretty much. I pulled up into about to make a turn onto the street, and there's a white crossing guard. And so I got my windows down, got the music up, and it's like, come on, ho, come on, ho, come on, ho, and dance. And it's just like, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be playing this. But I don't care. I just feel ghetto hood. But then Hard House, I was listening to because they had. Okay, so they had Master Tracks and the cover, the MasterCard logo. I had Apple Tracks. Tracks are for kids. Cocoa Tracks. I had all of these the cereal brand and what kind of white naming stuff that always had the TRAXX in it. And it was just like, okay, this is the hard house stuff.
That explains to me. You know what? You saying that now, just it clicks in my head. You know, because you've heard the DJ Jax Jones.
Yes.
It's clicking now when you said that, because if you look at when he releases singles or releases album, they all had that the covers Fruit Loops or some type of cereal or something.
Yeah.
But also when you listen to his music though, you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely housey music and stuff like that, you know. And then his album comes out and he called the album Snacks, and I was like, oh man, okay, see, it makes sense now.
Yeah. And so, and I think that's why when I hear going back kind of to like music and games and
Mhm.
everything, when I'm hearing like Forza 4, Forza Horizon 4, when I'm hearing just Shapes and Beats, Elite Beat Age, when I'm hearing all of this stuff with
Elite
Elite
Beat
Beat Age,
Agent. Oh my. Oh my God.
needs to be my husband. Can I
I
just
I
can,
I.
can I just call you my boyfriend right now? Like, can we just like announce it on Twitter? Be like, I found my boyfriend. He lives in another state. I've literally been yelling about Elite Beat Ages. I want
Oh
that game to come
my
back so much.
God.
I
I need to find a cart. I need to find a DS cartridge because I still have my 3DS. I need to find a DS cartridge.
if I find a cartridge in my room, I will send it to you. I still
You
have
don't
it.
have to go that far. Man,
I
I'm
I
telling you, I'm telling you, I love music games, man. So like, let's think of some of the earliest music games. You know what? Maybe it's time to start recording so we can
yes.
so we can add some of this stuff to the.
uh
I mean, I'm sure you got a whole bunch of B-roll stuff though.
oh yeah. So Corey, when you see all of this, just make this an episode or whatever. Bus Rush podcast. Uh Featuring LeRon, special guest. But yeah, let's get into the.
Sorry, I hijacked this.
Oh, this
This
is
again.
this is what we do on
I
a
feel
normal
like
basis.
I feel like I did that in the last one too, and I didn't mean to.
Oh
I can
no,
when I get the nerd out, I can get very verbal.
yeah, that's all I gotta say. So, well, here we go.